results referencing the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Users, including Elon Musk, pointed out that Google was auto-completing searches for President Donald with President Donald Duck. Others have noted that searching for Donald Trump yields favorable articles about Kamala Harris, but searching for Harris produces nothing on Trump. A Google spokesman claims it's, quote, working on improvements, unquote. Let's hope so, because what's happening now is dishonest. It's election interference that hurts our democracy, and it needs to stop.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Usha Vance has been heard from. J.D. Vance's wife sat down with Ainsley Earhart of Fox News yesterday to address her husband's childless cat lady comment, because Fox News is doing a wonderful job of not letting that go either, very much in concert with the D.C. press corps generally. I don't know how much obsessing we need to do about this. It's really not that complicated or poignant of an issue. It hasn't inflicted a wound on the nation's soul or any of this other business. But Ainsley was very sentimental about it.
Well, I mean, this is so 2 weeks ago, but okay, let's keep talking about it.
And but it's nice to hear from Usha, see how she handles herself in this kind of, sort of crisis comms moment. And I thought she did pretty well.
The reality is he made a quip in service of making a point that he wanted to make that was substantive, and it had actual meaning. And I just wish sometimes that people would talk about those things, and that we would spend a lot less time just sort of going through this 3-word phrase or that 3-word phrase, because what he was really saying is that it can be really hard to be a parent in this country. And sometimes our policies are designed in a way that make it even harder. And we should be asking ourselves, why is that true? What is it about our leadership and the way that they think about the world that makes it so hard sometimes for parents? And that's the conversation that I really think that we should have. And I understand why he was saying that.
Oh, A plus, 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 plus.
Well, she's sharp. There's no question about it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line, which is why I'm sort of embarrassed for her that apparently at one time she was a Democrat.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I'm a recovering Democrat. A lot of us are.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm over here, Dad.
Yeah.
You can look. You're not going to. Hello.
Yeah. I don't want to look directly into your eyes, lest I turn to stone. Yeah, and that's the whole thing too about the Indian American population as well. It's very much confusing to me, like the Jewish population, frankly, any population, that the majority affiliate with the Democrat Party because it just doesn't make any sense if you look, to borrow from Usha's points, at the substantive points of the matter. It just makes no sense. But anyway, and she addressed, Ainsley. What do you say to the people who were hurt?
Oh, come please.
How about grow up? But
how about not even ask that question? Who's hurt?
But people are hurt. People are hurting. People have been hurt by your husband's comments. One of those, and Usha thankfully handled it with more diplomacy than I would.
First of all, that JD absolutely, at the time and today, would never, ever, ever want to say something to hurt someone who was trying to have a family, who really, was struggling with that. And he made that clear at the time, and he's made that clear today. And we have lots of friends who have been in that position. It is challenging and never, ever anything that anyone would want to mock or make fun of. And I also understand there are a lot of other reasons why people may choose not to have families, and many of those reasons are very good. I think what I would say is, let's try to look at the real conversation that he's trying to have and engage with it and understand, for those of us who do have families, for the many of us who want to have families and for whom it's really hard.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. It's good. Just making the substance of the point, which, of course, the real answer to that is the people who were so hurt or offended are looking to be hurt and offended. It is contrived. Yeah. They are not interested in the larger point that he's making. It was very specific to the Democrat Socialist Party power structure. It's not a comment on everybody who's struggling to have kids or anybody who chooses not to have kids. Every comment about something that fits your circumstances in part is not about you. So get over yourself. It's a politician talking about a policy matter, but that's a little too coarse for most people to consume. I'll tell you though, there were two ladies,
ladies
who were hurt. That you asked who was hurt by it,
right? Who's in pain over this?
These two.
Childless cat ladies creeping around, nothing but cats on our minds. Cats running around with their tails in the air, they're flashing their feline behinds. Childless cat ladies, young and old, cats are our pleasure and joys. They warm up our laps when the weather's cold and we spend on tuna and toys. Cats can't vote,
but we sure can.
They need us to do it, and how? We'll take our cats to the polling booth and we'll vote with a mighty meow.
Yeah. Were you on the call on Sunday night, the cat lady call?
moon. There's a Persian, a calico, a Maltese, a Manx. All cats are welcome to us. It's a cat lover's elegy written with thanks. In cat people we put our trust. Cats can't vote, but we sure can. They need us to do it, and how? We'll take our cats to the polling booth and we'll vote with a mighty owl. We'll vote with a mighty meow. We'll vote with a mighty meow.
JD Vance is weird. Not them. By the way, it's worth noting that, like is always the case, these 60s refugees.
Yeah. They
Why
look
do
like Bernie Sanders' sisters.
Why do they all look
too.
like Steve Dahl?
Oh, or it's
George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, I didn't hear any apology to the people who love their cats like their children.
Right, like Amy. Thanks for the call, George. Yeah, there was.
My poor cat was soaking wet this morning when he came in. That's why I was late. I had to dry my cat.
You had to dry. No, I'm not going.
It was soaking wet. It was storming out. Poor little Shadow.
Yeah.
And I have Shadow because of this show, because some lady in Berwyn called in, said it was a feral cat. So I took it to be with my other feral cats. That cat's not a feral cat. He ran right in the house, and he's...
Well, I mean, it's one thing to be an outside cat in Berwyn. It's another thing to be an outside cat in Lakeview. That's not an easy transition. All right, coming up at 5:38, the protests in the UK and the disparate treatment under the law of people protesting the stabbing and the stabbing murders of 3 toddlers, basically 6 years old, as compared to how the government responded, say, during the Summer of Love. Two-tier Keir, they're calling the new PM in the UK at 5:38.
And later, Decision Day, we're hours away from finding out who she will pick. But now let's head into the newsroom. Mike Scott, who do you think is going to be?
It will be Josh Shapiro.
You think so? See,
Yeah,
I think it's
so.
going to be Walt.
Yes. Certainly not the punditry that sits over there, but I think it will be Josh Shapiro. Just a thought.
I got my money on the governor from Minnesota.
Okay.
All right. Split decision.
Yeah, split decision.
I'm sticking with Jelly Belly.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because I want.
He's having a press conference
I want
this
nice
morning.
things for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They totally used him and strung him along, but okay.
Well, and the Democrat power structure, as it stands, needs his money and needs his development and needs the state of Illinois for him, too. 5:30 on AM 560, The Answer, as we're talking about with you, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate will hold a campaign rally in Philadelphia today. One Democrat consultant we talked to, Adam Kinsey, says there's no bad choice, he believes.
It's a pretty important pick. I think that all of the names that we have been hearing, though, are all good.
Harris spent the weekend interviewing prospective picks that include the Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, although as our reporter Nick Harper says, it's still unclear how the announcement will be made.
Remember when Joe Biden announced his vice president, Kamala Harris, back in 2000, he did it in an email that was quickly followed up by a video. And the thinking is that we could see something similar, an email to supporters, a video put on various social media platforms.
Several U.S. personnel have been injured this morning in a rocket attack against a U.S. military base in western Iraq. It was at the Al Assad Air Base. It's not yet been confirmed exactly where the strike came from, but U.S. Defense Department officials blame Iran-aligned militia groups. Northern Florida, the coastal regions of Georgia and South Carolina, and parts of North Carolina this morning, bracing for severe rain and catastrophic flooding this week as the Debbie storm system moves up the East Coast. Rescue operations are underway in Florida.
Florida Division of Emergency Management has completed 435 storm-related missions, and they are currently in the process of completing another 400 more.
Savannah, Georgia Mayor Van Johnson saying they're getting ready for the storm.
We have to make sure that those of us among us that don't have the opportunity to evacuate are safe. Our homeless population are safe. Those that are medically fragile as well. So we thought it was best to kind of shelter in place.
Sarasota Bradenton Airport recorded 11 inches of rain on Sunday. Japan stocks rebound sharply after the Nikkei 225 in the Topics dropped over 12% in the previous session. Other Asian Pacific markets were mostly higher in trading. Police are investigating after two were shot in Evanston last night in the 1700 block of Dempster. Evanston Fire EMS then transported the victims to area hospitals where they are listed this morning in stable condition. The dispute between City Hall and groups planning to protest during the Democrat National Convention later this month rages on.
We've got people bringing buses, charter buses from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Minnesota.
Hatem Abadiah spoke for several pro-Palestinian groups who sued the Department of Transportation in March in order to secure protest routes closer to the convention. During a hearing yesterday, the demonstrators demanded a more direct and longer route. The city attorney is Chris Williams.
We hope the judge sees and understands the point that we're making. They're looking for a quote-unquote win rather than a reasonable compromise.
Meantime, the city this morning will begin accepting applications for 45-minute slots at the speakers platform with sound amplification equipment near the United Center. And a former Chicago alderman has died. Mary Ann Smith, who served the 48th Ward for more than 20 years, died last week at the age of 77. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0, while the White Sox have the longest losing streak in the history of the junior circuit, 21 games in a row after a 5-1 loss to the A's at Oakland Coliseum. Blackhawks locked down their 2024 draft class, signing forward Marek Vanacker to a 3-year entry-level contract. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's Finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
Hi, Sean. I'm currently looking for old cars and motorcycles for my August auction. Any pre-1970 vehicle, running or not, in any condition, I can sell for you. It doesn't have to be a show car to sell for big money. I have clients from around the globe that buy from me on a regular basis, and they're eager to buy more. I also offer pickup service to make it easy for you to consign at my auction.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
538, the news of service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Let's check our roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, accident, 2 right lanes blocked between Nagel and Montrose. Dan Ryan already jamming up in the express inbound between Pershing and the Chinatown feeder. 394 accident left shoulder southbound at Sauk Trail. Traffic a service of Turnkey.pro. For the less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Passing shower this morning. Otherwise cloudy, breezy, and much cooler with a high of 72. Currently 75. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Across the pond in the UK, perhaps a harbinger of what's to come in the U.S. So there's this story that hopefully you're aware of. 11 children and 2 adults were stabbed at a holiday dance party for moms and their kids. 11 children, 2 adults stabbed.
Oh,
Mass
this is the
stabbing.
The Taylor Swift event. They were dancing to Taylor Swift music.
A 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, 3 girls were murdered. And while the authorities won't confirm the specific identity of the alleged murderer, because he's a minor, 17 years old, it has been revealed that he is from a family of Rwandan origin who came to the UK as refugees during the genocide in Rwanda. And this has a lot of people up in arms about the UK's immigration policy, open border policy, effectively, you know, the multiculturalism, as they euphemistically described it, that that Western Europe embraced 30 years ago, and has wreaked a significant amount of havoc in Western Europe. I mean, we talked during and the aftermath of several radical Islamist attacks in Western Europe. For example, Charlie Hebdo in Paris, about no-go zones in these major European cities. So this has been afoot for a long time. And there are protests, and there's a response from the government. There's a response from the government when citizens protest their government. And depending on it's very much like during COVID, depending on the exact composition of the protesters in terms of their intersectional score and the exact issue over which they're protesting, the government response will vary. This is a great mashup that was done of the newly minted PM there, Keir Starmer. And by the way, he is the PM, Labor is the PM, because of the abject failure of the Conservative Party. They didn't govern like conservatives, and so they lost power. Two-tier Keir, they're calling him. If you can discern what he's saying in the direction of protesters in real time right now, mashed in with what he said about protesters during the Summer of Love in 2020 after the George Floyd killing. And, of course, in the UK, they laid themselves prone before minority populations. They took the knee the same way members of Congress, including Kamala, did. And, very prayerful and thoughtful, subjugating themselves for as atonement for their participation in systemically racist societies and the whole rap. Two-tier Keir.
Be in no doubt,
I was shocked.
Those that have participated in this violence,
the killing of George Floyd,
will face the full
and the
force
response
of the law.
President Trump.
The police
the US
will be
authorities
making arrests.
To the peaceful
individuals will be held
people
on
rightly
remand.
demanding justice.
Charges will follow.
Has been an affront to
and
humanity.
Convictions will
The last
follow.
week has shone a spotlight.
I guarantee
on the racism,
you will regret taking part in this disorder,
and injustice
whether directly
experienced
or
by
those whipping
from
up this
black and
action
minority ethnic
online
communities
and then
in the
running
US,
away themselves.
in the UK,
This is
and
not
across
protest.
the world.
It is
Martin
organised,
Luther King
violent
said,
thuggery.
injustice anywhere
and it has no
is a
place
threat to justice.
on our
Yeah, it's a perfect way to listen. You get the high points, don't you, in terms of the approach to people have a right to protest police, protest anything you want peacefully, but the, of course, punchline of mostly peaceful protesters that laid waste to cities from the U.S. to the U.K. and beyond. Yeah, that's not going unnoticed in the UK. And by the way, Keir Starmer is not kidding. Remember, they don't have First Amendment protections like we do here. Well, when they're enforced on the government to restrain it from infringing on our rights to be a free people who thinks freely and prays freely. They're showing up. This is not the first time we've seen this in the UK. But this is part of the crackdown on people protesting policies that are effectively their version of open borders. I'm glad this gentleman who was visited by British police, local police, I'm glad he recorded this interaction, monitoring your social media posts, and you run afoul of what they consider decency in terms of the tone and content of your post, and you get a knock on the door from your local police.
Okay, so
What do you mean I can't have any alcohol?
okay, well I'll tell you. Okay, the time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network. I'm just
What?
127 of the Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say anything that may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which you later are in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested.
going to be arrested, okay?
Right,
So you
and-
got to the police station.
Right.
Ask you, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So
Facebook crime.
we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets, Thomas?
I've got my keys. I got. No, that's about it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of Police and Criminal Act.
Right.
And that's for dangerous items.
Hey, I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under. some what information? I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Made some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's transferred.
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Well, they probably have no cash bail now, too.
Oh,
so hopefully not.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line. This reminds me of the German woman who she made a comment about an illegal who was one of 9 attackers who gang raped a 15-year-old girl in Hamburg, Germany. She called him a disgraceful racist pig, and she had to go to jail for a week. He raped a 15-year-old girl. She got a harsher sentence than the rapist did.
The lives of others, that's what these societies have become. It's soft despotism, but it's not that soft. And you'll note the police officer didn't say you made a specific threat against an individual, which wouldn't be even protected here. It's just you made comments that were offensive to some people, and some people complained, and so here we are to take you to jail. By the way, in this country, just in terms of the parallel, Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, recently did a survey finding that more than half of Americans, 53%, agree with the statement the First Amendment goes too far in the rights it guarantees. Majority of Americans thinks the First Amendment needs to be, or free speech needs to be restrained, not the government infringing on our free speech rights. As FIRE concluded, the latest survey indicates many Americans are concerned about the security of free speech rights, yet also eager to censor speech they personally find distasteful. Yeah. Have we seen that? And the government's happy to piggyback on that disposition by working with big tech companies to silence views that run afoul of the state position. But it can't happen here. Oh, okay. Oh, and by the way, just on the underlying issue of open borders, just another story. We can tell stories. It's like talking about violent crime, indigenous violent crime in Chicago. We can tell stories, and then, it's up to the population to decide if they have the political will to make a change or just take evasive action. A Honduran national charged with involuntary manslaughter in connection with the February death of an Old Dominion University student named Lauren Nicole Leonard, 19 years old. This Honduran national, numerous run-ins with the law, ordered deported 6 years ago, and he now stands accused of killing this 19-year-old woman. Mm-hmm. He first ordered for deportation back in 2018 during a hearing he didn't appear for. Well, that's odd, because I'm told that you release them into this country with a hearing date, and they almost always show up. Must have been an outlier. Had several run-ins with the cops over traffic stops in the months leading up to the crash in which he killed this woman. However, authorities didn't investigate his immigration status during those traffic stops. Well, first of all, we shouldn't even have traffic stops. Second of all, if you're going to have traffic stops and it's a non-honky, obviously you're not going to investigate any further, particularly immigration status, because that would be, gauche and pimply. Mm-hmm. Twice cited for driving without a license, so on and so forth. Yeah, okay. Oh, and, if those one-offs aren't particularly important to you, because, Americans commit crimes too, Dan. They do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. We have indigenous criminals, and then for some reason, because we have indigenous criminals, some people take the logical step that it makes sense that we import more criminals. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does to members of, card-carrying members of the left, like those folks singing cat ladies. We have this from Department of Homeland Security report released yesterday by the House Judiciary Committee. Finds that nearly 100 illegal immigrants on the FBI's terror watch list were allowed to settle in the United States over the last 3 years, between 2021 and 2023.
Thanks, Kamala.
Yeah. 100. Go on in. And, you know, I mean, if I'm sure.
One's scary. I mean, these are preventable crimes.
I'm sure, you know, the FBI is monitoring the situation closely. There's nothing to be concerned about. Okay. I mean, if that's of interest to anybody. Marty in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Kid yourself not. Before this coming election, you're going to have people knocking on your door saying, we got a complaint about something you said on social media. It's going to get a lot worse, believe me. And and what do you do about it?
Well,
you post anything anybody can complain about, anything they have to say. They knock on your door. What's your defense?
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Marty. I mean, your defense would be appeal to your constitutional rights as American, your God-given rights as a human being, enshrined in our founding documents. But I guess if the Constitution and those rights become unpopular, well, then we'll just skate around them. Oh, by the way, we also have this from Jim Jordan about Google. And Google's speaking just on the topic of the free and fair flow of information in addition to the free and fair administration of elections. So House Judiciary Committee in communication with Google, you know, they did admit that the queries about the July 13th failed assassination attempt should have returned, should have auto-completed for Trump, should have returned searches about Trump instead of Kamala Harris. But there's a bug. There's a couple of bugs. There's a couple of errors. And so they're working on it. So it's fine. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, why are the bugs and errors always in the direction of helping the left and harming the right? It's a good question. Coincidence, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Marvin, Burlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that thing you played from England, you sure that wasn't a Monty Python skit from like 1972?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Monty Python is now reality.
Exactly. You know, my comment is these people, they don't go into hard sciences and learn a trade like engineering, electrical engineering, something that would benefit society. No, they sit back and they study the arts and sociology, and they work with models, and they say, ooh, gee, if these people migrated over here, the world would be a better place. Never thinking about their culture is totally different than ours, and they basically don't understand Christianity and how it created the benefits to the Western world. They have no concept of that. And just put them in there. I mean, and then the people in this country are so stupid that they vote for these morons. I mean, how many times does it have to have the evidence of these actions thrown in our face? Does anybody, I guess I'm way too old, the Muriel boat lift and how Castro just decided to empty his jails and nut houses and send them over to South Florida? That's just a speck on the that means nothing. That's just a few people. I mean, it's like the visible Trojan horse. They're letting him in. They're letting him in. And what a great country. What a statement about our teachers and that they can't even teach our history and the Constitution and what our rights are and make people understand that the Constitution is to protect us from the government, not to give the government rights. I mean, it's just, I can't explain how angry I am. I tell you, one of these days they keep pushing this crap. There's going to be people that are going to be hunting these people down, and that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it, because it's going to take a revolution in my view. I mean, how in God's name is Wisconsin 50-50? I mean, what are these people thinking up here?
Well, I mean, that's true. Thanks for the call, Marvin. Although Wisconsin has had dalliances with it is he before. I mean, it's the home of La Follette progressivism, isn't it? It's also the home of the Republican Party. So I don't know. You know, Wisconsin is a bit schizophrenic, but yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. The majority or plurality impulse against the tenets of a free society. It's concerning. I mean, it's really concerning, or at least it should be.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
This is Carol Platt-Levow for townhall.com. Thomas Jefferson understood that for a self-governing people to make the best decisions for themselves and their country, they had to have access to the facts. A properly functioning democracy depends on an informed electorate, he wrote. President Jefferson would be appalled at what's happening today. Google is the world's most popular search engine with 92% of market share. Its autocomplete feature hides suggested results referencing the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Users, including Elon Musk, pointed out that Google was auto-completing searches for President Donald with President Donald Duck. Others have noted that searching for Donald Trump yields favorable articles about Kamala Harris, but searching for Harris produces nothing on Trump. A Google spokesman claims it's, quote, working on improvements, unquote. Let's hope so, because what's happening now is dishonest. It's election interference that hurts our democracy, and it needs to stop.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Excuse me. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, a VDH on how Trump can win or lose the election.
Rain this morning, then a high of 72 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND.
Who will she pick? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. We expect to find out this morning Vice President Harris's running mate. The day after she sewed up the Democratic nomination, and Reuters reports it's down to 2 governors, Tim Walz from Minnesota and Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania.
Walz is a 2-term governor, 6-term congressman. He offers a Midwest appeal, particularly in the Wisconsin area. He's supported by labor unions and progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders. Shapiro, who is Jewish, is more moderate with a winning track record in Pennsylvania, which is basically a virtual must-win state for Harris.
Fox's Brian Yenitz in Philadelphia, where the vice president and her running mate will hold a rally tonight. There could be a rebound on Wall Street. Futures are higher after Japan's market surged back up following yesterday's big sell-off that dragged the Dow down 1,000 points on worry about the economy.
The risk of a recession could derail Vice President Kamala Harris's election prospects as former President Trump takes aim at the Biden administration's policies. People vote with their stomach, and food is now at an all-time high because of Kamala/Biden incompetence.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera reading a Trump Truth Social post. Another one this morning said the vice president's afraid to debate him on Fox News, while the Harris campaign says he's running scared by now refusing to honor the September 10th ABC debate set up when it was a Trump-Biden race. Hurricane Debbie about to park itself over Georgia and the Carolinas, and rain and rain and rain. Some areas could get over 2 feet, so there's fear of a lot more flooding.
And the storm is going to come offshore and sit basically off South Carolina, may come back inland Thursday and Friday, and that's why we have a real issue.
Fox weather storm specialist Mike Seidel in Isle of Palm, South Carolina. Debbie's blamed for 5 deaths. While Israel keeps waiting for that revenge attack, Iran vowed a U.S. base in Iraq was bombed, injuring at least 5 American service members. America's listening to Fox News. 72 degrees in Chicago. Gray skies. Still some rain showers in the area at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Police are investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in Evanston. It happened in the 1700 blocks of Dempster. When officers arrived, they found 2 males shot. They're listed in stable condition this morning. As was hinted at last week, Governor J.B. Pritzker is out of the running to be the Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate on the Democrat ticket. Harris is expected to announce her choice today. Several reports say the 2 finalists are Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The dispute between City Hall and groups planning to protest the Democrat National Convention later this month rages on.
Bringing buses, charter buses from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Minnesota.
Atem Abadiah spoke for several pro-Palestinian groups yesterday who were in court after they sued the Department of Transportation in March in order to try and secure a protest route near the convention. During a hearing yesterday, demonstrators demanded a more direct and longer route. City Attorney Chris Williams.
We hope the judge sees and understands the point that we're making. They're looking for a quote-unquote win rather than a reasonable compromise.
Meantime, the city will begin accepting applications this morning for 45-minute slots at a speaker's platform with sound amplification equipment near the United Center. The 1% state tax on groceries will be repealed through all of Illinois, although local governments will have the option of imposing that tax on a local basis by ordinance. That's a recipe for chaos, says State Senator Don DeWitt.
I think this was a real opportunity to make something good happen for taxpayers who are dealing with cost of living increases for groceries and everything else. He could have taken that LGDF revenue he's already sweeping, made everybody whole, and everybody could have been happy.
The tax cut will not take effect until January 1st of 2026. Cubs managed just 4 hits and struck out 9 times in a 3-0 loss to the Twins at Wrigley Field. White Sox have their longest losing streak in the history of the junior circuit. White Sox suffering their 21st straight defeat after a 5-1 loss to the A's in Oakland. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio, every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply. The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. For just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. The Kennedy is a mess already this morning. An accident between Sayre and Montrose has 2 right lanes blocked 70 minutes into the Circle interchange this morning. 394 accident left shoulder southbound right at Sauk Trail. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A shower this morning, otherwise clouds and cooler today. Breezy and a high 72. Cloudy, breezy night tonight, low 64. And then partly sunny, less humid tomorrow, the high 77. Clouds and sun Thursday with a high 82. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
72 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Everybody's got advice for Trump now. Everybody who's supportive of Trump. Now that the race has returned to more or less where it was pre-debate. A lot of Republicans are nervous, concerned. Nikki Haley surfaced to have a little sit-down with Jake Tapper to, again, do what she does, parrot the conventional wisdom emanating from the establishment in D.C.
One of the things that Republican congressional leaders have had to tell their members is to not attack her on the basis of her gender or her race, to go after her on policy issues, as you just did. We've heard members of Congress call her a DEI hire, suggesting that she's an affirmative action pick. How do you respond to that?
It's not helpful. It's not helpful. Look, I mean, we're talking about a liberal senator who literally has not accomplished very much. And what she was given, she didn't do much with. You don't need to talk about what she looks like or what gender she is to talk about that. The American people are smarter than that. Talk about the fact that, she doesn't believe in fracking. Tell that to the voters in Pennsylvania. Talk about the fact that she doesn't want to talk about paying down debt. She wants to increase taxes. Tell that to the American people. Talk about the fact that consumer prices have gone up 19.5% since Joe and Kamala were in office. Talk about the fact that she's always sided with the Palestinian protests instead of our friend Israel. There are so many issues we can talk about when it comes to Kamala Harris that it doesn't matter what she looks like. It matters what she said, what she's fought for, and the lack of results that she's had because of it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at that same number.
Nikki Haley is not the only one who suffers from this infirmity in the Republican ranks, but she's a good example of it, especially since some people like her, find her particularly compelling. I don't. She's a cipher, sort of like Kamala Harris, except she's a little bit more intelligent. Nobody is criticizing Kamala Harris for what she looks like. That is starting from the premise of the left. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. Terrible communicator. Nobody has criticized Kamala Harris for what she looks like or that she's a woman. That's just not happened. And by the way, just all this, don't attack her for being a woman or don't talk about her. Nobody's attacking her for being a woman. That's not happening. But what will happen is no matter what criticism you level against Kamala Harris or any other woman and or person of color on the left, you're going to be charged with being a racist and misogynist because that's just what they do.
Right. If you look at her the wrong way, they'll say, "Oh, you're racist."
This fiction that you can just have a substantive conversation and focused on her policy record to the extent that it is really just policy pronouncements. And then you don't have to get into the ugliness of politics. Let's not make this personal. It is personal. Politics is personal. And when you start from the premises of the left, you do their bidding, which is what Nikki Haley just did. Eli Steele, our friend, the documentarian, and son of Shelby Steele, really good piece over his Substack. What does race tell you about that? Tell you about a person? Seriously, what does it actually tell you about their individual character? What if the person comes from two or more races? He goes on to say, the most revealing thing about the debate over Kamala Harris's racial identity is that it proves there is no meaning to race but power. In other words, race is only what we make of it to gain an advantage over another tribe. That is why using race as a means to power, as my father says, always corrupts the exploiter and the larger society. That's more eloquent than you're going to get from Trump. But as I've said before, we can fill in the blanks, and people like Eli Steele are filling in the blanks. That's the point. The point isn't what her race is. The point is how she's using it. That is not a very complicated concept to understand, except to Nikki Haley and most of the Republican Party. So they want Trump to be like George H.W. Bush in '88 against Dukakis. And by the now this is, I'm treading into some deeper water here. This is Victor Davis Hanson. How Trump can win or lose the election. All he needs to do is repeatedly remind voters that Harris is the most far-left presidential candidate in modern history. He can drive home that she is not only on record endorsing extreme positions, but has been doing so emphatically for years to energize her exclusively left-wing constituents and audiences. If Trump heeds the lessons of the late Lee Atwater, then he only need follow the 1988 Republican campaign script, when hard-left Democrat nominee Dukakis' 17-point lead in late July melted through nonstop reminders that Dukakis was and always would be far to the left of the American voter. He goes on to say, getting tangled up in Harris's woke and racial contortions, her opportunistically amorous past, and her bouts of cackleria will only suggest that Trump is desperate and playing into the hands of the woke victimization narratives. Is that right? Trump just needs to be the conventional politician, needs to be George Herbert Walker Bush from 1988 and just recite chapter and verse and do so in campaign spots as well, that Kamala was against fracking before she was for it, and Kamala was for free health care for people in this country legally before she was against it, and Kamala was for reparations before she was against it, and so forth. Rinse and repeat, say it ad nauseum for the next 90 days, and be elected president. That's how it's going to go?
Well, I want to hear about her aha moment. Why all of a sudden is she changing on fracking? I mean, we know the reason why, but I want her to say the reason why. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. One thing that I don't want President Trump to do, he's got to stop attacking other Republicans, I think. I mean, for him to go into Georgia, and he had a 2-minute, 8-second rant about Governor Kemp, and I just would just leave that alone. There is no reason to even bring it up. Just move on. Don't attack him. Attack Kamala Harris and her record. But maybe I'm just old school on that. Well, I mean, what do you think?
Is America like in 2024 like it was for George Herbert Walker Bush in 1988? Has the society and underlying culture, has it moved at all in the intervening 35 years? I mean, with all due respect to Victor Davis Hanson, this is not 1988. And the Dukakis playbook, I mean, it's an obvious one, and it's certainly part of what needs to be done in the campaign. But I think it's not enough, number one, and I think that you also have to deal on terra firma. Trump is not George Herbert Walker Bush. No. And he's not going to be. So I think what you want from Trump is for him to emphasize his pragmatism, but not be conventional. Emphasize his pragmatism, but not be conventional. In that I mean his record as and his instincts toward being a problem solver. I'm a problem solver. And then you have to get a handle on what Kamala Harris is. You know, this whole, like, she is left of Bernie Sanders. She's this San Francisco radical. I mean, that's true, but she's a cipher. There's some layers to this. So to try to characterize her as Karl Marx, it's not going to work. You know why? Because she's a dingbat. She doesn't come across like some intellectual leader of a movement, because she's not. She is basically another version of Joe Biden. She is a company woman, and the company is controlled by the Socialist Spice Girls and the New Bolsheviks. That's why, and not to mention layering in California. So that's why Kamala is what Kamala is. If Kamala was had grown up in Wisconsin, do you think that she would have the same positions that she took in California? Or say grew up in some other swing state, North Carolina, Georgia. You think she'd have the same positions? No. She's not ideological. And so you have to deal with that. And frankly, I think Trump is getting to something at that rally in Atlanta over the weekend, where he provided this as the framework for the choice.
They got clobbered. The choice of this election could not be more stark. On the one hand, you have a radical left freak. You have a candidate who is fake, fake, fake. On the other hand, you have a president who will fight, fight, fight for America. Fight, fight, fight. I will, I promise.
Fake, fake, fake versus fight, fight, fight. It's not bad. That's not bad. He's getting there. I mean, at least that's where I think this should go. And so she's a phony who uses race as a means to power, Eli Steele. Race as a means to power, which corrupts the exploiter and the larger society. There's no meaning to race but power. I don't care about a race, and neither does Trump. The point he was highlighting at the Black Journalists Convention is that she uses it as a political tool, and that is unseemly.
Whereas I think she's a Rachel Dolezal. Oh, yesterday, by the way, Nightly News, they've always called her black. Yesterday, they called Kamala Harris a woman of color.
Yeah. I mean, that's
an ancillary issue. I'm just letting you know. I mean, they're changing what they're describing her.
They're not changing. That they're interchangeable. That's not a change. The Victor Davis Hanson, though, conventionalizing Trump. Just focus on ticking off those issues. You have it. They're part of it, but is that all of it? Monica Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I'm just getting really tired of this BS with Nikki Haley. It's getting old. She, like you said, she's a cipher too, and she would have been a cipher for the establishment. And she needs to see what's going on. She's old school. Trump is new school. He's seeing Nikki Haley for what she is. Maybe she would have said it. Maybe Trump didn't say it as artfully as maybe you could have, but it wouldn't have mattered. He could have sounded like Victor Davis Hanson, and he still would have been labeled a bigot. So if this is the same BS that they pulled with Barack Obama, now you're going to do it with her. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for the call, Monica. I think part of this, too, is you need to remind people why they had such a visceral distaste for Kamala when she was vice president. Why was Kamala's approval rating lower than Joe Biden's?
Because she's inadequate. She doesn't know what she's doing.
No. Because she's grating. Because she's annoying. Because she's inauthentic. And it came across in the moments that you saw her. Because where she made news, it was mostly saying things that were incoherent or cackling like a hyena and otherwise embarrassing herself.
Oh, and embarrassing the administration because then they,
Well, if that administration has a
Didn't allow
capacity to be embarrassed. The point is that you have to figure out a handle on Kamala, too. What's the handle there? She's a radical left ideologue with the smile and the youthful exuberance, relatively speaking, and the happy-go-lucky, contrived as it is, the happy-go-lucky attitude. And, the whole thing about, she flip-flopped. She flip-flopped on this. She flip-flopped on that. Let's pin her down. You know what a lot of people see when they see a politician flip-flop?
What?
That's what politicians do. And you know what it does?
On every single issue, pretty much.
Yeah, but you know what it does? It says that's why the ideologue thing doesn't work. Well, if she's such an ideologue, then why is she flip-flopping all over the place? What it tells me is that she took those positions because she was from California or because that was how she got to be vice president. You had to, placate these different constituencies. And now she's taking different positions because she's applying for the top job. And it shows that, she's pragmatic. All politicians lie. All politicians change their positions to fit their political needs. And that's all she's doing. That's how a lot of people filter that. You think you got a politician because you expose their hypocrisy, particularly on the left? You don't. Roger, Southside.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, it really stinks whether your show or media actually have to sit through. If anybody at all is there still picking a candidate who's lived here in this country for 4 years, or even through Trump's 4 years, and actually say, yes, this is something I'm thinking about doing, voting blue on this thing. It sums up exactly what we've known for 40 years. These people aren't right, and there's no living with them. There is no living with these people at all. Okay, it's not. I don't think it's a cute thing at all. I don't care what gender, what race somebody is. We live right now in a world of useless puke people. Okay, who believe that you should respect them just because somebody walks up on a job site or as a political candidate, or we've never been more pathetic. This is the weakest generation of all time. It's the weakest our U.S. population has been in terms of people with zero standards. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It's great for news, I know, and you guys do great coverage and fair coverage. But I mean, okay, this is what I've been telling people for nearly half a century. This is why I won't. You know what? I don't care what you are. I'm not even going to look at you until you start proving yourself. Why we don't have it anymore here? As far as I'm concerned, until you prove yourself, you're puke.
Okay.
And that's
thanks for the caller. There's a bumper sticker. Until you prove yourself, you're puke.
Okay.
Okay.
Honk twice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Carol, moments.
Hi, good morning, Dan and Amy. I have a couple of comments. The first one is, use the old adage, are you better off than you were 4 or 5 years ago when gas was $2 a gallon and you could afford your groceries and you could buy a house?
Yeah.
And now my other comment is a compliment for Dan. You're such an incredible wordsmith. You remind me of a William F. Buckley with a sense of humor.
Oh, that is
I've
high
heard
praise.
that before.
I need the Boston Brahmin accent. That's what I'm missing. Thanks for the call, Carol.
You can work on it.
But my favorite moments of my life was having dinner with Bill Buckley when he came to speak at Northwestern. What a great gentleman he was.
Do you remember what restaurant you went to?
Yeah, we went to Oceanique in Evanston.
Oh,
That's where I took all my conservative dates that I brought to speak at Northwestern. I mean, the ones deserving
Right.
of a
course.
top flight French restaurant. So, Bill Buckley.
Who else?
I mean, I should have been like customer of the year a couple of years going back in the 90s. Bill Buckley and Charlton Heston.
Oh, wow.
Took Charlton Heston to Oceanique as well. Two greatest dinners of my life. I mean, in terms of like what I do in the politics of policy. I mean, Charlton Heston and Bill Buckley.
Oh my gosh. I want to be a fly on the wall. Was it just the two of you?
No, it was a small group of other people in the group that were responsible for the organization that sponsored getting them there and so on and so forth. But yeah, the greatest dinner since Jefferson dined alone.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Get ready to turn up the summer vibes at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells and let the good times roll. Dive into your wildest dreams of adventure through awesome water parks, chill in sun-soaked pools, and keep the whole family smiling. Take on our epic water slides, soar like an eagle from our enormous zip lines, and swing into our world-class golf course. From sunrise to sunset, Chula Vista Resort is buzzing with excitement. Refuel and transport your taste buds to the flavor paradise of our #1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Chula Vista Resort, where adventure and relaxation collide into your unique summer getaway. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com. Chula Vista Resort, the latest chapter in your epic summer story.
For a chance to win an overnight stay, please visit 560theanswer.com, keyword summer. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword summer.
Email from a friend, Mike Scott was reporting on the White Sox record-tying losing streak, 21 in a row.
Yeah.
And they're going to break that record, and I think they're going to break that record. I think they're going to break the record for most losses in a season, too. A friend emailed me, if the government were a baseball team, they'd be the Chicago White Sox. That's pretty good. That's very good.
Good job.
Choosing where to send your kids to school, one of the most important decisions parents make. The school year is upon us, so you need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family, thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools across Chicagoland, including St. Andrews Lutheran in Park Ridge, Ravenswood Christian in Chicago, Christian Liberty in Arlington Heights, St. Peter Lutheran in Schaumburg, as well as many more. So don't delay. Next school year is here. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Don't wait. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois and Wisconsin patriots, come out to the greatest Trump rally of 2024. Support President Trump and help save the American dream. Join thousands of great Americans as we rally for Trump on Sunday, August 18th, the day before the Democratic Convention, from noon to 6 at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. It's an afternoon of music, fun, and messages from many of President Trump's most trusted advisors and closest friends, including Charlie Kirk, General Flynn, Steve Moore, and Kimberly Fletcher of Moms for America. Your MCs for the event will be me, Gary Rabine, and Sean Thompson. There will be many surprises, more all-star speakers, and well-known music groups to come. Join us as we rally for President Trump at the McHenry County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 18th from noon to 6. Get your tickets now at paradingfortrump.com. That's paradingfortrump.com. Profits go to efforts to elect Trump as our 47th president. Paid for by the American Dream PAC. Thank you to our sponsors, Rabine America and Peerless Fence.
AM 560, The Answer.
Palace intrigue, okay? I'm just all waiting for this big announcement later today who she's going to pick as her VP.
She already selected. I saw Jennifer Rubin's column in the Washington Post. She selected TK. TK is the nominee. You know what TK is in journalism?
TK?
To come.
Oh.
So they have a column. Jennifer Rubin's column is set, and you just insert name. It's because the column is, wonderful, best pick possible, TKTK. Just insert the name, the column's ready to go. It's a cut and paste job. But that's the D.C. press corps. Propagandists. We saw behind the curtain with Jennifer Rubin, the so-called conservative at the Amazon Post. Hilarious. All right, coming up at 6:36. By the way, speaking of clever quips, from Real Developments, a certified financial advisor, about yesterday. Your 401k is getting unburdened from what has been. Indeed, it did. We'll talk with Scott the Cow Guy Shellady about that at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Yeah, better news from Japan this morning. Better news as well from Korea, and Europe is opening better as well. We'll get an update on that shortly. Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally in Philadelphia with her new running mate expected to be with her. Bab Santos is our reporter in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and profiles one of the last remaining candidates standing for Harris.
Nationwide this week, all eyes are on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. After reports, Kamala Harris's search for a running mate has narrowed down to him and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Senator Tina Smith weighed in Monday.
Tim Walz is a candidate who brings this just like great life experience, National Guard, a teacher, his executive experience.
In stark contrast, across the aisle, House Majority Whip Tom Emmer at a Trump rally last week.
He has no business. He's an empty suit, shouldn't be in that office. We'll see how it goes, but if they pick him, it won't matter.
Sources say Harris has already notified her selection, who accepted the opportunity.
No Republican presidential candidate has won Minnesota since President Richard Nixon won the state en route to his landslide victory in 1972. Officials in Savannah, Georgia are calling what started out yesterday as Hurricane Debbie now a once-in-a-thousand-year potential rainfall event as a tropical storm. Emily Farrs with the state of South Carolina.
Given the flooding predictions and the response currently anticipated by the storm, we've recognized our in-state resources are already committed, so we are reaching out to make sure that we pull in as many other resources as we may need from other states and from FEMA.
The storm has caused at least 5 deaths in Florida and Georgia. And we're following and developing this story from New York, where the UN now says 9 staffers have been fired over their involvement in the October 7 Hamas terror attack on Israel. The UN has not specified what role the staffers allegedly played in that attack. More than 1,200 were killed in that terror attack. Another 250 were taken hostage. Police continue investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in Evanston. It happened in the 1700 block of Dempster. The dispute between City Hall and groups planning to protest during the Democrat National Convention later this month continues to rage on. A judge heard arguments yesterday and could announce a decision in that case later this week. And police continue investigating a deadly hit and run that happened in suburban Hazel Crest last week. Authorities say Tamia Costello was struck Thursday night. She died late Sunday night in an area hospital. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0. Sox have lost 21 straight, matching the 1988 Orioles for the longest losing streak in American League history. The news service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk doesn't hear a reason.
Listen carefully. He does not tell you why. Now, we think we know why. Is it poll numbers? Was it threats? Was it intimidation? Was it they go after your kids? What is it, Joe Biden? He won't tell you. Is Joe Biden really going that willingly? And does Joe Biden harbor resentment?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:40, let's check the roads. And Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. They're recruiting professionals. Utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Kennedy inbound. Earlier accident slowing things up between Sayre and Montrose, 51 into the Burns Circle interchange. Accident on I-55. It's northbound right at the Veterans Memorial Toll, I-355. Stop-and-go traffic from Route 53 this morning. Tri-State accident, 2 right lanes blocked with injuries. It's southbound on 294 between the Cermak Toll to right before 47th. Bad accident, Northwest Indiana. 3 semis crash, 1 rollover, northbound on 65. You're delayed from 217th Avenue to State Road 2. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Passing showers this morning. Later today, cloudy, breezy, and cooler, a high of 72. Breezy, otherwise cloudy overnight, and a low of 64. Mostly cloudy and 72 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The only person who dislikes these investotainment shows on CNBC more than me is our next guest, Scott the Cow Guy. But yesterday, there was this interesting moment. Jim Cramer, that's Mad Money goof. He was on the desk talking about the presidential race and in conversation with one of the news readers there, David Faber. He's a blue state dilettante.
Yeah. Did he slip? Was this a slip? Or
And
did he say it on purpose?
and here's their exchange. You take a listen.
If you're in the stock market, if you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump. If that's what you do.
You do?
Yeah, well, he wants to cut your taxes.
Oh, he wants to cut taxes.
Your taxes.
My taxes got raised enormously,
Well,
as
no,
you
he
know,
wants
under
to
the
cut
last
that.
Trump
No,
administration.
I don't know if he wants to cut your president.
No. I'm in a blue state.
Oh, yeah, no,
Just
forget
wanna
you're
kill-
out.
They want to
You're
kill
out.
us.
I tried to I tried to go to.
They want to put us out of
Berkshire,
business.
Pennsylvania.
That's
It's not
what
as
they
easy
want
as
to
I
do to
thought.
us.
I can become an
They already
Italian
did
citizen more easily on
by
Pennsylvania.
getting rid of the salt tax deduction.
Hey, Dave Faber, you killed yourself in the blue states. And hey, Dave Faber, you're sitting on the desk at CNBC. You're supposed to know something about markets and basic economics. Why should red states subsidize you in blue states with your artificially high prices, your artificially high property tax burdens, I should say, and other tax burdens? Why should we subsidize you? Now that I'm in a red state, why should we subsidize you with our tax dollars exactly? Because you have terrible government that is causing flight from your state. I assume he lives in New York or Connecticut. What's the difference? Yeah. Oh, he killed us. We're trying to put us out of business. The blue states have put themselves out of business, Dave. Isn't that right? I wish there would have been a little pushback from Cramer, but I guess we can only expect so much from him. We should take solace in the fact that he is able to grasp the obvious enough to say, if you care about your paycheck, then Trump's your guy. For more on all this, and of course the bloodletting on the market yesterday, am I allowed to say that? Your 401k is getting unburdened from what has been.
That's awesome.
A certified financial advisor tweeted yesterday. That was my favorite of the day. It's some gallows humor, but pretty funny nonetheless. Scott the Cow Guy, Shelody joins us, market specialist from Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1, and the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Well, I mean, just before we get to the markets, I mean, I just want your comment on the investotainers there, Faber and Cramer.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more about the blue versus red states. And I mean, I used to live in one in Illinois, and I saw the light, and now I'm in Tennessee, and I can't tell you the difference. And yeah, I mean, Cramer. I mean, they're obviously very, very friendly as well. And Cramer lives in New Jersey, so he probably had a little bit of himself. But it boggles my mind. And I said this the other day at a dinner party on Saturday night. When I find out that you are from a blue state, or I mean, when you are from a Democrat and you support the things that happen in California, New York, Illinois, I kind of want to pull you aside. I'm not angry, and I always think you should be able to talk about these things. I don't subscribe to the fact that you should never talk about sex, politics, and religion. I think those are the only three interesting things to talk about in the world. So we should always talk about that. But I think because we don't, a lot of them bubble up and cause a lot of pressure because we never ever let it out. But I want to find out how you actually got to where you're thinking. I don't understand, if you're an educated person, of how you're supporting open borders, more crime, higher taxes. I'll never understand it. And I say this story all the time, Dan and Amy, about when I was 23 years old. I left the country to go work in England. First time I left the country, first time I had a passport. And I was just an agreeable kid from the Midwest. And I was at the passport desk in London at Heathrow, and the guy's doing the big stamping of my passport. And he says to me, when you finally find a place to live, you need to go register with the local police department. And I said, okay. And I grabbed my passport and I walked away, and he said, you know why? I said, no, I'm just being agreeable. I don't know why. He says, because you didn't put into our system. We don't want you taking anything out of it. And I thought to myself at 23 years old, that makes sense. Okay, sure. And fast forward to today, we are inviting people in to take out our system that they never put into. And I'll never, ever, ever understand how anybody with a brain thinks that that's okay.
Yeah, so it's not like Cinderella Man where you return the money that you got, once you're back up on your feet. That doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, okay.
I mean, no, because look, there's a sickness in our country, and it's amoral and unethical. Where you have to explain to people how student loan forgiveness is 100% wrong. They don't understand. If you can't explain right and wrong, that student loan forgiveness thing, I think, is an indictment about the character of our country. That you think that that's okay, and people are pushing for that when it could not be more wrong and go against the very fabric of a human being. I'll never get it. I just don't understand. It's a sickness.
I agree with that. So yesterday, Friday and then into yesterday, the real hammering. Wall Street Journal Ed Board said maybe the start of a reckoning for a decade and a half of excessive spending and easy money that's going to arrive eventually. How soon and rough the reckoning will be is the great unknown. Is it a real reckoning, or is it just hey Fed, you better give us those 3 rate cuts or we're going to make this ugly for you?
That's exactly right. There will not be a reckoning. Yes, Friday. I've often said that our economy. Remember those old variety shows like Laugh-In or something when you were a kid, and they had all those plates spinning on all those skinny sticks.
Yeah.
That's what our economy's been like for about 15 years. And finally on Friday, a couple of plates fell off and shattered, and yesterday a lot of them fell off and shattered. And yeah, the Fed's going to come to the rescue again. But look at a chart of the S&P 500 going back to 1970, and in 2008, 2009, you can see where the Fed became ultra accommodative, right? Where it decided that they're never going to let the market go down again, and things have just gone straight up. It makes me sick. It makes me feel like it's not hard to be a stockbroker, because if you've got a 3-year time horizon, all you should tell your customers to do is keep buying the stock market. It doesn't matter. The Fed's not going to let it go down. So yeah, they're going to come to the rescue again. But here we go again. We only treat the symptom and not the sickness. The market fell and skinned its knee yesterday. Get up, rub a little dirt in it, and move on. No, we're gonna call in sick. We're gonna get the Neosporin out and use every Band-Aid in mom's a bathroom, and that's what they're gonna do. So we never ever get tougher. We never let the big banks fail. And again, it's a sickness in the society. We don't have backbone or a character as a country because we won't let that market fail, and it's wrong. Well, how hard is it to be a stockbroker nowadays? What's your time horizon? Do you have more than 3 years? Yes. Okay, then plow everything into the stock market. You'll be fine.
Are we heading to a recession?
I think we're already in one. I think a large part of America has been in one for a while. Remember in 2022 when we had 2 negative quarters of growth, and then the the National Bureau of Economic Research, the NBER, they're the ones that actually quote unquote decide that we're in a recession. They said no, we're going to change the definition just so that the administration wouldn't have any egg on their face. But I think right about then, a lot of America is already starting to feel the pain. 10% of America owns 93% of the stocks. So when we have inflation and stocks go up and real estate goes up, only the 10% benefits from that. Everybody else has to go to work, put gas in the car, go to the grocery store. A great example is they try to tell us that the grocery store, that inflation's up 23% over since Biden's been in office. There's nobody that goes to the grocery store today that spent $100 on groceries 2 years ago that can get out of there for $123. No way.
Well, it's funny you mention it's funny you mention that, the disconnect. So Department of Ag has their thrifty grocery plan, which they describe as the cost of groceries for a healthy diet. It's now $975 a month for a family of 4. That's up from $675 a month before the week before Joe and Kamala took office. So that's a 40% increase in basic food costs.
That's more like it.
Yeah, that's and so but you have a 40% increase in basic food costs, and yet, from the street you hear, well, it looks like that a total of 3 cuts before the end of the year is a possibility because inflation is trending in the right direction, the softening job market, trending trending towards 2%. And so I mean, again, it's policymakers that have the 10% that you're describing in their mind, not the rest.
I'm afraid the likes of Powell and the Secretary Yellen, they don't really. I mean, they probably have a driver that takes. They probably have somebody do their shopping for them. I'm afraid that they don't know, and that's a large part of it. I mean, there's hundreds of economists at the Fed, and I don't know how it can't be more obvious. I mean, the upper 10% is doing just fine. They're going to be fine, but we're destroying our middle class. And ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have a middle class, we don't have an economy. I mean, those are the people that actually do stuff, and we're killing them. We're coring them. We're tearing them out from the inside. And I don't know what to say to people that they always come to me. What do I have to do to get out of this problem? The only answer is you need to make more money, and that's why. Yeah, they tell, we created X amount of jobs, and then the person that says, is told that says, yeah, I've got 3 of them. I still can't pay rent.
Right.
I mean, that's the situation. So here we go. Friday, what happened Friday is this. 2 things happened on Friday. The government's been massaging that jobs number for a long time. That's the last metric that everybody was leaning on, saying that things are just fine. But the government's been massaging it. They've revised them lower after each month comes out to the point where it's almost statistically impossible. And guess what? They got a bad one. There was nowhere to hide. The curtain was pulled back, and we saw who was really behind it. That's what the market didn't like, number one. Number two, it also didn't like what the Fed said on Wednesday. When Powell stands up in front, he's got a problem with being too transparent. You can be too transparent, right? He doesn't give himself any wiggle room. And he says, yeah, without saying it, we're going to get a rate cut in September. Basically is what he says. He talked around the margins. He talked around the outside. He nibbled at the idea, but without actually saying it, he said we're going to get a rate cut in September, and the market, reflected that. But what I heard was, a guy went to the doctor on Wednesday and said, "Doc, I don't feel well." And the doctor did a big, examined him, and he says, "You know what? You're right. You got a bad infection. So I've got a prescription of antibiotics at Walgreens for you right now. On the way out of here, go pick them up when you get home. Start taking the pills in 60 days. That's what he said. So he stood there and said that the economy's not doing well, but I don't think we have to take our medicine until September. Whatever. It's ridiculous.
So if Trump wins in November, what are we looking at?
Well, there'll probably be a honeymoon period, but you know what? Whoever wins in November is going to be handed the biggest plate of you-know-what in January. There's no easy way out. We're $35 trillion in debt. We're about to start printing money to pay interest on our debt. Not principal, interest.
All right.
I mean, we're in trouble. Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to have, it's the poo-poo platter on January 20th. Got it.
Yes,
I can't take any metaphors any more metaphors about the market, Scott. Scott the Cow Guy Shelley, market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1, and the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thank you as always.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world It's just the history we don't know, and Frank does. Take it away, Frank.
Good morning. Imagine if Chase Bank printed its own dollars and they were blue in color with Salmon P on the 1 and his lusty daughter Kate on the 5. Or if Bank of America printed them in red, or Fifth Third in purple and green. Sounds far-fetched, but that was basically the monetary regime in the antebellum period. Banks printed their own notes under state regulation, which were theoretically redeemable in gold or silver. Sometimes, though, what were called wildcat banks made such redemption difficult by having their sole branch located deep in the forest. In 1863, during the Civil War, the National Banking Act legislated federal regulation of banks and their notes. The federal government also then created its own fiat money called greenbacks, labeled as such because of their unique backside color. In 1913, after the creation of the Federal Reserve, the currency we know today emerged. Until the 1930s, these dollars were also backed by gold and silver, like the banknotes, which were retired during the Depression. Ever since, the dollar has only been backed by our country's production. Since the invention of the microprocessor, society has been moving more towards digital money, and its complete dominance is inevitable, just like paper notes became so after Gutenberg invented the printing press. Most transactions today are already done electronically, and it is more efficient. But our ancestors rightly knew that paper money could be abused by banks and had governments develop gold and silver standards to protect their rights, back when governments actually did such quaint things. We will also need to ensure that our freedoms are preserved through the appropriate checks on the potential for government abuse of this new technology. I'm not sure what those checks are, but it'll be one of the most salient questions for conservatives over the next few decades.
Very good. I didn't know. This is interesting. You always learn something with Frank's History Minute.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know Salmon P. Chase's daughter, Kate, was a hot number. I did not know
Oh, yeah.
that. Was it really?
Yeah. Kate Chase Sprague. Yeah, she was the.
Ooh.
Yeah, Salmon had two wives.
Uh-huh.
They both died. Kate was one of the daughters from one of those, and she was the belle of Washington in the 1850s and 60s. Yeah.
Wow.
Had an affair with Roscoe Conkling, the senator from New York.
Is that right? Oh,
Absolutely.
old Roscoe Conkling. You know, Roscoe.
He's like Dougie.
Dog Emhoff. D-A-W-G, Emhoff. You go, dog.
Who knew?
That's my dog, Emhoff, baby.
Woo!
Huh? Yeah. Frank, thank you as always.
All right, here's
Wonderful.
a quick question for you.
Yes.
And for Mike Scott, he mentioned earlier Nixon had a landslide victory last time that the Republicans won Minnesota. So what was the only state that McGovern won in 72?
His home state, South Dakota.
No.
No? What?
No.
What?
Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts. Oh, very good. Wow, a twofer from Frank today. Very good. All right, Frank.
All right,
You've
thanks,
shown your
Frank.
superior historical knowledge. Now back off.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we have more reporting on Secret Service malfeasance from Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com, 7:07.
Cooling off this afternoon to 72 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Election Day is now just 13 weeks away. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and today we'll find out the Democratic ticket. Vice President Harris, who secured the nomination after President Biden dropped out, is going to pick her running mate.
The two names everyone's talking about at this point as the finalists are Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro.
Fox's Brian Yennis in Philadelphia, where the vice president and her VP choice will rally tonight.
Shapiro's seen as the more moderate pick for Harris. He was the former state attorney general here twice before winning the governorship by 15 points in 2022. His biggest asset is his ability to potentially deliver a win here in Pennsylvania, which is seen as a must-win state for Harris.
While we keep waiting for the attack, Iran vows against Israel.
This morning, there was yet another Iran-backed attack into this country. Drones and rockets being fired just a few miles from here. One hitting near to a car and critically injuring two people.
Fox's Trey Yangston, Haifa, Israel, and says that bombing follows one in Iraq,
where an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in Iraq that was housing American forces. We do know multiple U.S. troops were injured. We are waiting updates on their conditions.
Tropical storm Debbie, blamed for 5 deaths and flooding in Florida, could put a lot more areas underwater.
It's really all about how much rain is going to fall, and it's not turning off anytime soon.
Fox weather storm specialist Mike Seidel in the rain, standing by a flooded road in Isle of Palms, South Carolina, says Debbie
is going to come off the the coast of Georgia and then sit off the South Carolina coast and just kind of fester for several days. So it just pumps the rainfall in. It kind of rains itself out. It'll be late week before the flood watch ends.
Some areas could get 2 feet of rain or more. A rebound may be brewing on Wall Street. Dow futures are up the day after a 1,000-point plunge for the Dow. Japan's Nikkei also surged back up 10%, gaining back much of its losses, fueled by fears of a recession. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Evanston police are investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in the 1700 block of Dempster around 8:30. Evanston Fire EMS personnel then transported the victims to the hospital. They're listed in stable condition this morning. The dispute between City Hall and groups planning to protest during the upcoming Democrat National Convention rages on.
We've got people bringing buses, charter buses from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Minnesota.
Hatem Abadiah spoke for several pro-Palestinian groups who sued the Department of Transportation in March to order secure protest routes near the convention. During a hearing yesterday, the demonstrators demanded direct, longer, and more routes. Police are investigating a deadly hit and run last week in Hazel Crest. Tamia Costello was struck Thursday night near 173rd and Kedzie. She died Sunday at a nearby hospital. Over $1 million in high-end jewelry was swiped from a store inside Woodfield Mall last week. According to Schaumburg police, the suspects cut their way through drywall to get inside the Marquise Jewelers. They also covered up surveillance cameras in order to be recorded. Could be a dark day for Western Illinois University as staff there faces major potential layoffs. The WIU Board of Trustees will vote today to approve the proposal. The possible cuts come as the university needs to reduce spending by about $20 million in order to help balance the budget. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0. White Sox 21 losses in a row after a 5-1 loss to Oakland, matching the 1988 Orioles for the longest losing streak in American League history. The News is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hard air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka always has the best guests.
How do you think this opponent rates against the incumbent Joe Biden?
He was the worst president we've ever had, and her ratings are lower than his ratings, so I don't know how she can do well, but maybe she can. It's a crazy world out there. Nothing good happened during this administration. Nothing.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar, And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
This is Carol Platt Levow for townhall.com. Thomas Jefferson understood that for a self-governing people to make the best decisions for themselves and their country, they had to have access to the facts. A properly functioning democracy depends on an informed electorate, he wrote. President Jefferson would be appalled at what's happening today. Google is the world's most popular search engine with 92% of market share. Its autocomplete feature hides suggested results referencing the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Users, including Elon Musk, pointed out that Google was auto-completing searches for President Donald with President Donald Duck. Others have noted that searching for Donald Trump yields favorable articles about Kamala Harris, but searching for Harris produces nothing on Trump. A Google spokesman claims it's, quote, working on improvements, unquote. Let's hope so, because what's happening now is dishonest. It's election interference that hurts our democracy, and it needs to stop.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads now. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Downers Grove, an accident, Ogden and Findlay tying up that intersection. Northwest Indiana, Lake County, accident on I-65 northbound. 3 semis have crashed, 1 rollover near 217. Accident on the Tri-State right lane block southbound on 294 right before 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A passing shower this morning, otherwise clouds, breezy, and a bit cooler today. High 72. Cloudy for tonight, breezy, low 64, and then sun and patchy clouds and less humidity tomorrow, the high at 77. Clouds and sun Thursday, high 82. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
72 at O'Hare. Lake Michigan water temp is 76. Your next news update is 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The more reporting we're getting about the Secret Service, the worse the situation at the Secret Service looks. The recently disgraced and departed Kim Cheadle, the director of the agency, wanted to destroy the cocaine found in the White House last year. According to RealClearPolitics.com, Susan Crabtree's all over the place. Kimberly Cheadle wanted to destroy the cocaine found last year at the White House after a partial DNA hit in a national database. She ordered the Secret Service Forensic Services Division and the Uniform Division to destroy the evidence before finding out who the bag of drugs belonged to, but her request was rejected. Protocol is to maintain the evidence for 7 years. It upset her that her request was denied. Yeah,
Isn't that a crime to try and cover up a crime?
She reportedly wanted to close the case because she was concerned about a media firestorm over the discovery, because, of course, baby boy Hunter had been staying at the White House before the cocaine was found. Normally, the Secret Service detail would dispose of illegal drugs found in the White House, but it wasn't his security detail that found the coke, so the story got out. The cocaine taken to an FBI lab where DNA analysis returned a partial hit, meaning DNA matched a blood relative from a finite group of people. A blood relative from a finite group of people.
I wonder who
at
that
the
finite
White
group of
House.
people were, Dan. Can somebody say the Bidens?
Cheadle decided against additional searches for DNA matches and did not interview anyone who worked at the White House, so reports Real Clear Politics. And then after that, called the forensics team to make it all go away.
Should there be a congressional hearing on this?
I assume that's sort of the same investigative approach that Justice Roberts took to trying to find the leaker of the Dobbs opinion. The things that the government doesn't want to know, it doesn't pursue. See this repeated over and over again as well. I can't wait for the next appearance of Robert Rowe before a House committee or a Senate committee to address this latest reporting.
Maybe he'll have another press conference and not answer any questions.
That would be wonderful. The additional reporting on this, the agency I'm talking about now, just as a matter, because we get this leadership problem, but the rank and file, right? This is one of the explanations. We've got a leadership problem. We've got a few bad apples, and it's at the top, but generally speaking, the rank and file honorable. And, I suspect that's generally true. I want it to be true. But what we found as we have scratched below the surface at these agencies, thanks to the help from investigative journalists like Susan Crabtree, is that the rot is a lot deeper than they're telling us. It's not just at the director level. And often cases, it's not just at the supervisory level. It's also loyalists who will do the bidding of corrupt supervisors or directors, as we saw at the FBI most spectacularly. Regarding the J6, wiping of text. You mean with a cloth? No, not exactly, Hillary. Susan Crabtree again. Secret Service whistleblower still working for the agency told me that the agency's management asked for his cell phone a few months after January 6th when DHS Inspector General is conducting its investigation of the Secret Service's handling of January 6th. She shares part of this. The IG report that was issued late on Friday confirmed, among other things, that cell phones were wiped of text to clean up for the agency's bad performance on January 6th. For example, Secret Service letting VP-elect Kamala Harris walk within 20 feet of a suspected pipe bomb at the DNC headquarters because they didn't have the right assets in place yet for VP-elect, and other mistakes, which we've seen. We've seen the video evidence of it. I mean, this is really not in question, but you don't want to compound it by potentially exposing the incompetence of the agency in terms of the communications back and forth to the American people. Of course not. So she asked this whistleblower, the J6 texts, where are those? The whistleblower said, I worked on January 6th and I had to turn in my phone a couple of months later and I never saw it again. And all those things got deleted. But before they took my phone and everything, none of them were deleted. I'm like, what are you talking about? We had we had a cell phone software update. Every text message and email that I had prior to January 6th was still on my phone, but once they took my phone and gave me a different one, they were all gone. What did they tell you? What's the reason or rationale they gave you for making you turn in your phone? The whistleblower, because their DOJ investigation regarding our phones, we're going to have to take your phone and give you a different phone. Like, okay, did you think that was suspicious? The whistleblower. of course, but at that point, let's see, around January 6th, I was still a believer that anything they say must mean the best for it. But that was before I dealt with the corruption I did. I soon discovered in the Secret Service, people lie. They do all these things. It's just their culture.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line.
Inspiring a lot of confidence. Kim Cheadle, Ron Rowe, these whistleblowers that are now coming out of the woodwork. And again, Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, has solicited for more of these questions about stand-down orders that are yet unanswered. Again, Susan Crabtree, several sources within Secret Service told Real Clear Politics they're furious about the failures and blamed agency management, not the agents or counter-snipers on the ground, who they said performed admirably. They talked about events contributing to the security lapses. Jill Biden had an event near Pittsburgh on the same day. Kamala Harris was having one in Philadelphia, taking some local Secret Service resources and so forth.
They had to get ready for the DNC or the RNC. Was that following?
Problem is that they had enough personnel on site. That's the problem. All this resource issue is interesting, but they had enough personnel on site to have that roof covered and enough run up to that event to have things like radio comms fleshed out.
Yeah, but they didn't even go to the pre-rally meeting, security meeting at 9 a.m. Secret Service didn't, to meet with the locals, and they weren't on the same. They weren't on the same channel.
Yeah, again,
There's so
maybe
many
the meeting should have happened. Maybe it shouldn't have. They had the resources. They had the know-how. I mean, as we talked to Tim McCarthy and other former Secret Service, it is so obvious. You don't need to be a highly trained Secret Service officer to say nobody gets access to an elevated position with sight lines to the stage. Pretty straightforward. Anybody knows that. Anybody. Like all those people, all those rally attendees, not highly trained Secret Service agents who are pointing it out, expressing concern. I mean, this is another agency now you have to call the whole thing into question. Not just because of what happened, but because of how they're handling what happened. And they just don't get it. And until you pull this whole thing up, pull these agencies up by their roots, I don't think they're going to get it. Even if you had a Trump president and new directors with new leadership, I'm not sure that's enough. There's something fundamentally wrong with the corporate cultures at these agencies. And I mean, short of like a Mitch Daniels as the director of every one of these agencies, I'm not sure that one person or one management team turns it all around. In fact, I'm skeptical. What a statement. It's just very similar to the other whistleblower that Susan Crabtree brought us. We've been performing badly for a long time. We just look good doing it. This is the Secret Service agent. This guy, I discover the Secret Service people lie. They do all of these things. It's just their culture. Well, that's a problem. So that's more than a leadership problem. Culture problem is, it obviously implicates the entire agency when you have a culture problem. Frank at Board of Trade.
Yeah, I've heard on a number of occasions that the sniper teams had eyes on the shooter before he actually started firing. I'm curious as to why they couldn't put a couple of rounds around him to sort of dissuade him. It's sort of like Chicago. You have to shoot somebody before they take you seriously.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, according to Secret Service agents or retired ones that appeared on ABC News afterwards, they said that's the rules of engagement. They have to shoot first in order for us to fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
That's what one said. But
yeah, we've talked to agents that say something different. But also, what you heard from Rowe at his press conference on Friday, they didn't know there was a man with a gun on the roof. That's what he says. That Secret Service didn't know. Maybe local did, but local was unable to communicate with Secret Service what they knew. So all of this is still unclear to me. No one is giving us a complete a presentation of their understanding of what happened and submitting it to scrutiny and questions so that we can get to conclusions on some of these open questions. That's part of the problem I'm talking about. Scott in Woodstock.
Morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Couple of quick questions. Where's the after action report from January 6th that the Secret Service is supposed to file? And the gentleman who found the bomb, why don't we know his name? Why hasn't he been given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? And because he's a hero, he prevented the vice president from being killed.
Thanks for the call, Scott. I mean, the closest we've gotten to an after action report is the IG report on Friday, but that's not very close. Well, because we're getting the same treatment from the FBI about January 6th that we're getting from the Secret Service about July 13th, aren't we? Rich in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I just wonder if we start adopting the Putin model, maybe people go out the window or off the roof, and maybe people would start taking notice a little bit and do their jobs right.
Well, I don't know that we want to start disappearing people. I don't think that's the remedy. I think the remedy is to make spectacles of them professionally. We are removing you from these posts. We are bringing in new people. We are going to alter the expanse of the stated agency's stated objectives. In other words, going to taper it in. For example, the Secret Service. I don't know that it's mission creep that's the problem. I think there are other political, cultural problems, like all of the identity politics and so forth. FBI, CIA, I think you have definite questions about the expanse of their mission. And that needs to be part of the conversation in addition to personnel changes. Bill on the Northwest side.
Hi, Dan. You and I could have gone to Butler and stood where the president was standing, turned our head 360 degrees, and known where it needed to be secured. Every time you have one of these former FBI, former Secret Service people come in, they always say, well, we've got to wait for the report. Got to wait for the report. No, you don't. Anybody with any normal person could have done that.
Well, I agree, but I'm happy to also wait for the report. I'm anxiously awaiting the report, but it's like waiting for a ship that never makes port. When are we going to get the things that you agree we should get? You know, for the people that say don't rush your judgment, so on and so forth. Okay, so when do we get the pre-event security plan? When is that made public? When do we get transcripts of the radio transmission, both with Secret Service as well as with local law enforcement, to the extent there was any communication across agency, then that too. So when do we get it? Oh, nobody does.
Maybe after the election. I mean, who knows? We may never get it. We may never know a motive either. Just like the Las Vegas shooter, never found out why he decided to unload on so many and kill.
I mean, it just
2 people.
It just repeats and repeats and repeats. And so we brought you this story back in November of last year. Sonia Labasco, who is the executive director of the Air Marshal National Council, she sort of made public this Quiet Skies program that the Federal Marshal Service operates. And she told us this back in November of last year.
The only missions that we're doing are Quiet Skies missions, and those are missions that are following the January 2021 people. So we're either on the border for illegal immigrants or we're following folks from January 2021. We're not doing our regular missions where we're out there looking for the bad guys. So right now on most flights, you're not going to have air marshals.
What do you mean by that? You're following January 2021 people. What does that mean?
That means our primary mission is a little group called Quiet Skies. It's a mission called Quiet Skies that we're following people that flew into the National Capital Region in January 2021. You did not have to go to the Capitol or the rally, and you've been put on a specific list that TSA now has assigned air marshals to follow these people who have not had any type of criminal investigation. They haven't committed a crime, but yet 3 years later, we're following the same individuals day in and day out.
So you're saying that air marshals are now following people that were at the Capitol on January 6th, and they're not tracking terrorists at all?
Well, they didn't even have to be at the Capitol, Carly. They could have just flown into the National Capital Region. So if anybody was there for a job interview, to visit family, we even had a gentleman that was there for a funeral. They put on this domestic terrorist list just because of their geographic location to Washington, D.C. So these people did not even commit a crime. They weren't even at the Capitol.
What? Do those people know that they're on this list?
Some of them do, because when they go to the airport, they get the quad S's on their boarding pass, and then they have to go through enhanced security. Then they're followed by teams of air marshals on any leg of flight that they have. So yes, a lot of them do know that they're being followed, yet they haven't been vetted and they have not committed a crime. And 3 years later, we're still doing the same duty, and we followed the same people over and over for 3 years who are no threat to this country.
So now updating that, we have to bring the Air Marshal Service into it as well. Uncover DC has an exclusive. Several federal Air Marshal whistleblowers have come forward with information showing former U.S. Representative and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard is currently enrolled in the Quiet Skies program, a TSA surveillance program. Now, the Quiet Skies program is allegedly used to protect traveling Americans from suspected domestic terrorists. But as you heard from Labasco, who's former air marshal herself, that the air marshals were doing essentially surveillance on J6 attendees or those that had some tangential connection to J6, not for the purposes of protecting them, but for the purposes of surveilling them as potential enemies of the state, effectively. I don't know how else you'd describe it. Labasco is at least one of the whistleblowers here. She went on the record. She shared that Gabbard is unaware she has 2 explosive detection canine teams, 1 transportation security specialist, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight she boards. What? Oh, my God. I mean...
Government overreach, dear Lord.
Well, government overreach, I mean, first of all, that's a protection detail that is worthy of a president, number one. Number two, is it really a detail that's designed to protect her or surveil her, a la what Quiet Skies was doing? It's an effective operation, according to Labasco, as late as the winter of last year. Why is there this deep state conglomeration moving when Tulsi Gabbard moves? If this reporting is accurate, and it seems well sourced, including Labasco, who's on the record. I mean, I think most people listen to this show, like us, pro-law enforcement. But it's just getting difficult to be pro-Secret Service, pro-FBI, pro-Federal Air Marshals, pro-CIA, and also be pro-law enforcement. If they were a little bit more pro-law enforcement, we could be. You know what I mean?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll turn our attention towards all things Illinois policy with our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski from wirepoints.org. That's 7:37.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
It is 7:30 on AM 560. The Answer. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate are expected to hold a campaign rally in Philadelphia later today. Democrat consultant Adam Kinsey, who we spoke with, says there's no bad choice, among Democrats.
It's a pretty important pick. I think that all of the names that we have been hearing, though, are all good.
Although, as our reporter Nick Harper says, it is unclear right now exactly how that announcement will be made.
Remember when Joe Biden announced his vice president, Kamala Harris, back in 2000, he did it in an email that was quickly followed up by a video. And the thinking is that we could see something similar, an email to supporters, a video put on various social media platforms.
Several U.S. personnel have been injured in a rocket attack against a U.S. military base in western Iraq. It happened at the Al Assad Air Base. It's not yet been confirmed exactly where that strike came from, but the Defense Department blamed Iran-aligned militia groups. Japan stocks are rebounding sharply after the Nikkei and Topix dropped over 12% in the previous session, leading to green numbers in the futures ahead of the open on Wall Street. 2 federal lawsuits this morning are seeking millions of dollars from General Mills, the cereal maker. Plaintiffs say Cocoa Puffs could contain high levels of lead. One suit claims a 1-cup serving of Cocoa Puffs contained a little less than the maximum allowable limit of 0.5 micrograms of lead. Police are investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in Evanston in the 1700 block of Dempster. Fire and EMS personnel transported the victims to area hospitals where they are listed this morning in stable condition. City of Chicago will begin accepting applications this morning for 45-minute slots at the speakers platform near the United Center. Police are investigating a deadly hit-and-run last week in suburban Hazel Crest. The driver did not stop after striking Tamia Costello near 173rd and Kedzie. The victim was then struck by a second vehicle. She died Sunday at an area hospital. Changes to Illinois' strict Biometric Information Privacy Act are now in the books. Phil Mellon, after the governor's signature, says the old law was crippling Illinois businesses.
They check into work in the morning, that's 1. Then they check out for lunch, that's 2. Check back in for lunch, that's 3. Check out for work, that's 4. At $5,000 potentially per instance violation, that adds up really quickly.
Business groups lobbied for the changes following several high-profile lawsuits against employers. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0 at Wrigley Field, while it was the A's over the White Sox 5-1. Sox matching the Orioles' 1988 string for the longest losing streak in AL history. And the Blackhawks locked down their 2024 draft class, team signing forward Merrick Van Acker to a 3-year entry-level contract. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholascoffee.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher wants to stick to the facts.
I'm going to urge you and urge our Republican leaders and urge media pundits on our side of the aisle to cease with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris. There is so much to her record and what she represents that we should easily see her going down to defeat on November the 5th.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Homeowners in Cook County had to make their first payment on their outrageously high property taxes last week. On average, taxes have gone up every year for the last 30 years in Cook, and it is no different in the rest of Illinois. Complaints about property taxes can be found at every income level and in every county. This year, one of the hardest hit areas for increases was South Cook County, where many residents living in modest homes on modest incomes saw their property taxes nearly double. Imagine opening your property tax bill and owing $12,132 when last year your bill was $6,283. How will this retiree find an extra $500 per month? And what's she getting for it? Her home value is $270,000. As a percentage of home value, a tax rate of 4.45%, 4.5 times the national average. 10 miles to the east lies Indiana, with a 1% cap on residential property taxes. In 10 years, the Illinois homeowner could save $100,000 just by moving across the state line. Democrats have ignored the problem, passing fake property tax task forces and doing nothing to help. In 2018, the Chicago Tribune did an investigative report about the unequal treatment of homeowners by the assessor. They published another related report last Sunday, 6 years later, and little has changed. But the real problem is twofold. Businesses have fled, and so residents have to pick up the tax burden, and local governments spend too much. Until voters demand that every politician votes for a hard property tax cap and the reform to lower local government costs, property taxes will continue to rise, people will see home values erode, and many will leave. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
This message is for anyone looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance, even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or taking anxiety meds. Here's an example. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe overweight with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost about $200 a month. We're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. If you've had prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Get a quick quote by calling Term Provider at 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790. If you're looking for term life insurance but have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or have other health issues, call Term Provider at 800-568-2790 or visit termprovider.com. Termprovider.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
It is 7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of quick delivery service, ground delivery when you need it, from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Kennedy inbound at 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike in an hour 10 from 390 into the old post office. An earlier accident on the outbound side being swept out of your way. Your jam up from Ashland to right before California. Stevenson inbound. You've got an exit ramp closed due to an accident. It's on the inbound side, the off-ramp to LaGrange Road. Very busy this time of day. There's a rollover semi on LaGrange Road, and inbound near Central. There's another accident with 2 left lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. The passing showers moving out of the area, leaving us with mostly cloudy skies. Could see a hint of sun. Breezy and cooler, and a high of 72. Currently, we'll call it partly sunny for the moment, 74. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. You probably heard about that shooting that occurred at Wabash in Chicago late afternoon on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So prosecutors have charged a man with shooting a 16-year-old boy from Delaware at that corner. The 19-year-old who's charged fired several shots towards the boy on the corner of Wabash and Chicago at about 4:45 p.m. Struck the boy in the shoulder, also struck a 24-year-old man who was standing nearby.
What?
Apparently, those are still crimes. I was unsure. The CPD surveillance officer who reviewed a variety of video feeds determined the gunman had fled onto a southbound Red Line train at the state Chicago stop. I hope he stopped at 95th and Western to enjoy the DJ.
With the house music, because we're celebrating 40 years of house music. Yes.
That's why we put the DJ booth there.
Yeah,
so.
they perform Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, by the way, in case you're interested.
Mm-hmm. And the cause of this crime?
Yeah.
Cause?
Cause.
I know what you're thinking. Richard Nixon? Partially.
Silly kids?
Climate change.
Excuse me?
The Society for Environmental Journalists has partnered up with the Maynard Institute for Journalism Education. Boy, that's a great partnership. Let me tell you. I mean, when you're partnering with the Maynard Institute for Journalism Education, you're going to get some real learning happening. They hosted a webinar on Tuesday to provide data and information to journalists. Because journalists are so driven by data and contextual and consequential information. You can tell from their reporting. It's so rigorous. They this webinar to provide data and information to journalists on the connection between gun violence and extreme heat in America's 100 largest cities.
Oh, he did it because it was hot and humid out, because the heat index was above 100, right?
Climate change, this is according to research provided at the webinar, educating journalists so they can educate you.
I'll take this.
Climate change contributed to 370 additional shootings in Chicago, 285 extra shootings in New York, 146 in Detroit, 98 in Milwaukee, 83 in Minneapolis, and 64 in Philadelphia. So I'm not saying that Richard Nixon should be let off the hook with respect to the shooting at Wabash in Chicago, but also climate change, the oil and gas companies, the politicians they own, everyone, not just this 19-year-old who fired the gun, everyone who opposed the Great Society programs, even though really Richard Nixon was basically a welfare state Republican. But I digress. BLM Brandon said so. It's good enough for me. Everyone who supported Richard Nixon, everyone who supports the fossil fuel industry, works in the fossil fuel industry, votes with the fossil fuel industry, everyone should be arrested, because it takes a village to commit a shooting at the corner of Chicago and Wabash.
Is the shooter going to use that as part of his defense? Your Honor, it was climate change.
I assume that one of the journalists, maybe somebody from the Innocence Project, will get this important data to the alleged shooter to make sure that he has that available as part of his defense.
Maybe they'll testify on his behalf.
Ted Dabrowski, President, WirePoints, wirepoints.org. Ted, we're finally getting to root causes here with respect to Chicago's endemic violence.
Well, we are, and at WirePoints, we ran those same numbers and got the exact same results. So kudos to them. Of course, that's a joke.
Yeah, you got the same. You did the climate change modeling as well.
Yeah, the correlation is perfect.
Yeah,
no,
I'm sure. Yeah,
it's part of what you've been saying. It's this is the argument for limited government, what you were talking about earlier with Secret Service and all that, and it's hard to trust any of these units of government anymore because they become too big, too powerful, and they control the data. And then you pair it with media, they control the messaging, and then we have a hard time, people just knowing what the truth is. Period. Nobody knows what's going on, and it's an argument, I guess, just for limited government, and then for massive transparency from groups like you and groups like us that try to get the real data out.
It's an argument to make as much money as you can, as fast as you can, and find a little nook somewhere in a faraway land to hide. That's what it is. Also an argument for. But I know some people want to put it in the fight, like yourself.
Well, the thing is it's going to be harder and harder to find those nooks, especially with all this, technology. So you can try to hide, but and that's one of the big arguments I use for all these people who keep saying leave Illinois. And and I get it, man. I'm all for, the laboratories, and everybody should go find what's best for them and the opportunity. But you're kidding yourself if just because you leave Illinois, you're going to find, the perfect world somewhere else. You're going to have to fight in America no matter where you are.
Naples is pretty close, but I hear you. That's why I come back in the summers to check on how things are going.
Yeah,
and
right.
I continue to
You
be
just don't like the heat and
to be
humidity.
disappointed. No, the heat and humidity doesn't bother me.
Okay.
No, that doesn't bother me. I mean, except for the violence that it induces.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interestingly,
And interestingly, in Florida, they're not gunning each
yeah.
other
Interestingly,
down
we
because it's
haven't
hotter there.
we haven't seen the climate change to violence connection in Southwest Florida. It's interesting.
Give it time.
Yeah, of course. Right. It just hasn't happened yet. It's going to, though. No, of course. It's interesting. Heather McDonald, our friend over at Manhattan Institute, she had a good piece on Chicago crime and Democrat values. It's nothing that we haven't talked about, that you haven't written extensively about. But it's good to see that there's some national focus on Chicago now amid what we know will be the cover stories promulgated by the Pritzkers and the Brandons. You over at WirePoints just put together a complete guide. This is pretty good. A complete guide to what Illinois and Chicago truly are, as opposed to the beautiful lies that they'll be telling each other. I saw this billboard outside of my buddy's place in over like Kingsbury Plaza, like at what Halstead and over by East Bank Club.
You're right.
It was
Just
great.
say East Bank Club.
It was Illinois Democrats record job growth, big blaring billboard.
Really?
So that's a good example of what I'm talking about, and the fact that Illinois has the third highest state unemployment rate is not going to be mentioned in conjunction with that conversation. But anyway, your conventioneer's guide to truly understanding Chicago and Illinois.
Well, it's really important because this is one of the few moments where we have a chance to get some of the truth out at a national level, not one piece at a time, but with all eyes moving from the RNC now to the DNC here. You're going to hear Pritzker, and he put out this beautiful video and blamed Republicans for the messes that are in Illinois, when in fact Republicans have hardly ruled at all in the last 30 years. This is a chance for all of America to find out what's really going on, and that's why we put out that piece that just lays out across all the different issues what a failure Illinois has been. And everybody in America should know the policies that are here and what to be avoided at all costs if they want to avoid the pain that ordinary Illinoisans suffer. So hopefully that gets some traction and people can use it to write or to research or to ask questions or to point out just how bad things are, whether that's crime or free speech, the whole energy boondoggle, all those things. We're the extreme on most things, of course, competing with California.
Oh, yes. Speaking of competitions, J.B. Pritzker, it looks like he lost. He's not going to be the vice presidential running mate for Kamala Harris. Did you think that they were just stringing him along because he's hosting the DNC here in 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, don't forget he's got lots of money, and they probably weren't sure how the whole money thing was going to go. And of course, it's gone really well for the Democrats with the hundreds of millions they've raised. But they need him as a good ally. He's been for Biden, as we've talked about, he's been a great loyalist on all those far left issues on Safety Act and no bail to the energy bills and all that. So he's a good ally. They need him, and I imagine that they want to keep him close.
This just came over the transom.
Yeah,
Tim Walz is going to be Kamala Harris's running mate because Josh Shapiro's Jewish. So can't be him.
According to CNN, they said Harris picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. Oh, my gosh.
Well, there you go.
So
Pritzker can get back to focusing on Illinois now.
This is a man.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, right.
He's having a press conference at 10 a.m. this morning, so we knew it wasn't him. Just so you know, Tim Walz changed the Minnesota state flag. It now looks like the Somalian flag.
Yeah, I remember
a few months ago.
That. Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's so woke.
Very inclusive.
Backed by Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi, and the UAW supports him. So, wow. Okay. Let the games begin.
Big news. I mean, I don't know why you're like you're. What was the phrase that Axelrod used? Irrational exuberance, irrational interest. What? What is so exciting about this?
I think because I'm glad she did not pick Shapiro.
Yeah.
Because this ticket could not be any lefter. Oof.
Ted, in Chicago news, big story yesterday, another success. 4.5 years late, yes, but that's a rounding error. We're very happy to announce that the Damon station of the Green Line has reopened after nearly 80 years. And BLM Brandon himself deigned to ride that Green Line and celebrate the opening of the station. Now, it did cost $82 million, which was about $43 million over budget, 4.5 years late. But again, I'm not really concerned about the money or the time or the graft. We've got another beautiful, beautiful CTA station, and I hope there'll be some musical accompaniment, maybe like a 4 a.m. dance club, since we've got the DJ booth at 95th and Western. Anyway, I just wanted to share in that positive news. We're always looking for positive things. This is, again, improving the transit options on the near west side, and I'll give you the floor to compliment BLM Brandon on his accomplishment.
Well, it's another one of those big achievements, and we should highlight it. I'll tell you what's interesting with all this money. Yesterday for me was a big thing for Chicago, and we'll have to keep an eye on it depending on how these markets do. But Chicago doesn't have enough money for all that it wants to do at the city level or at CPS level, and then you see these stock markets start to correct tremendously. If we get back to some kind of stock market correction that's painful, watch out for Chicago, because all this stuff that disappeared, all the scary financial risks that Chicago faced 4 years ago will come back. We'll have to keep an eye on that, because I think that's going to be the next big thing to look at. The numbers aren't going to work.
Well, thankfully we have stewards of the taxpayer dollar like Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon. For difficult times, it's good to have those steady hands on the public purse, wouldn't you say?
Well, they're both going to be in trouble because Illinois faces the same problems. Maybe Chicago's are a little bit more acute, but watch out.
Ted Dabrowski, President, WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
When I look out over America, there's so many things that get me upset. I know you feel the same way. Stress levels are high right now, which is not healthy. Stress can raise your blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the number one risk factor for mortality. One out of two of us are walking around right now with high blood pressure. That's a ticking time bomb, but thankfully it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure with 120 Life. It's a remarkable natural juice blend or powder mix that can help you lower your blood pressure without the side effects of pills. It's formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by more than 70 health professionals, so try for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Visit 120life.com and use the code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back, so don't get mad. Get even by lowering your blood pressure naturally. Go to 120life.com Use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% off your order.
Hi, this is Pastor Kelvin from Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights. It is time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools. How can we subject our loved ones to forced, ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings? You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, we have operated a Christian school now in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com, ChristianLiberty.com.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Madam Giselle senses something in your future.
Is my boyfriend going to propose?
It's a big storm.
Wait, we're going to get in a fight?
No, a literal storm. Wind, heavy wind. I see a tree falling on your RV.
Oh, that's fine. I'm covered by Progressive. So, is my boyfriend there? Maybe on one knee?
The entire roof is crushed.
So, no ring.
Be prepared for the unexpected with Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Product features subject to policy terms and may not be available in all states or for all vehicles and covered selections.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo. AM 560, The Answer.
Cramming all this information about Tim Walz. According to CNN, he's going to be Kamala Harris's running mate. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Fresh off of their success co-chairing the Minnesota Freedom Fund for rioters and looters. Yeah, Harris and Walz is your dream team for the Democrat Socialist Party. We'll discuss. Take your calls, 808.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A woman dies after being struck by two vehicles in Hazel Crest, and the White Sox tie a record.
She's made up her mind. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The AP reports Vice President Harris, who has secured the Democratic presidential nomination, has chosen her running mate and will announce it soon. And they'll hold a rally together tonight in Philadelphia, where Fox's Brian Yennis reported earlier.
According to NBC News, Vice President Kamala Harris went to bed last night without deciding who was going to be her VP. She wanted to sleep on it, and apparently the campaign is ready today with multiple signs printed depending on which way she decides to go.
Now, among the top Harris VP choice contenders she's chosen from, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. And while Harris and whoever she picks plan to campaign for days in battleground states,
she'll have some company. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. He is planning to trail her in a 3-day tour to some key states and is expected to use those stops to highlight differences in the two campaigns when it comes to immigration, crime, and the economy.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Speaking of the economy and all the fears about a recession that led to a global stock sell-off, the opening bell on Wall Street this hour could ring in a rebound. Stock futures are rising after the Dow plunged over 1,000 points. Tropical storm Debbie's already caused flooding in Florida, where hundreds of people had to be rescued. And there's a lot more of it to come in the Georgia and the Carolinas.
The highest flood risk right now from Savannah all the way up towards Wilmington.
That's Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. She says Debbie is a storm that's stalling.
That continues to just churn and bring water off of the Atlantic for days. And that's the big concern. And that's why we could see rainfall totals of close to 30 inches.
There are flood watches in that region that are in effect until Friday. Debbie's blamed for 5 deaths. America's listening to Fox News.
Partly sunny skies, 73 degrees, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott here with the stories we're following on WIND Chicago. A 12-year-old boy is hospitalized at this hour following a shooting on Chicago's South Side. Police say the victim was inside a home last night in the 4500 block of South Drexel when someone shot him before fleeing the scene. Police are investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in Evanston. It happened in the 1700 block of Dempster. Evanston Fire and EMS transported the victims to area hospitals where they are listed in stable condition this morning. The city of Chicago will begin accepting applications this morning for 45-minute speaking slots during the Democrat National Convention at a so-called speaker's platform with sound amplification that the city says will be near the United Center. Over $1 million in high-end jewelry was stolen from a store inside Woodfield Mall last week. According to Schaumburg police, the suspects cut through drywall to get inside Marquise Jewelers and then covered surveillance cameras to avoid being recorded. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0, while the White Sox matched the 1988 Orioles for the longest losing streak in American League history. They suffered their 21st straight defeat in a 5-1 loss to Oakland. The news service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit valdecas.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are higher after yesterday's sell-off. Investors have been concerned about the possibility of a global recession. Countering that sentiment this morning, Germany reported manufacturing orders improved for the first time in 6 months in June, with the car industry bouncing back. This morning, Caterpillar reported better than expected earnings for the spring quarter. Sales were softer, but Caterpillar was able to charge more. Uber Technologies returned to making a profit in recent months. It's reporting solid growth in its ride share and food delivery business. Duke Energy, the North Carolina-based electricity and natural gas provider, made a profit in its recent quarter after losing money a year ago. Though Outback's parent company, Bloomin' Brands, is reporting a disappointing quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda, invested in you.
AM 560 News Time, 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees the lies.
If the reason that he is not running is because he wants to pass the mantle on to youth, then why didn't he say that earlier? That's a lie. It is just a lie. It has nothing to do with his age. It has to do with his infirmity and the fact that he was forced out.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Hi, my name is John Stanton, founder of the Stanton Group WP. For over 20 years, I have been helping clients and their families plan for their personal definition of retirement. I'm offering to take a look at the plan you have in place now and see if it makes sense in a world that is in constant change. My practice deploys a core and protect risk management process designed to succeed in any market environment. We are fiduciaries legally required to act in your best interest. My team and I work for you every day to help achieve your personal financial goals. Let's talk. Call me at 630-445-2380 or go to our website, stantongwp.com, to schedule a complimentary consultation. That's stantongwp.com.
Investment advisory services are through Sequest Wealth Management, LLC, the advisor, a registered investment advisor. The advisor provides investment advisory and related services for clients nationally. The advisor will maintain all applicable registration and licenses as required by the various states in which the advisor conducts business as applicable. The advisor renders individualized responses to persons in a particular state only after complying with all regulatory requirements or pursuant to an applicable state exemption or exclusion.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. now heard Sunday morning at 6:30. Right here on AM 560. 1 hour on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound Ike, 1 hour, 5 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Northbound 55, accident, left shoulder between Weber and the Veterans Memorial Toll. And an exit ramp is closed inbound on the Stevenson right at LaGrange Road. So the inbound off-ramp to LaGrange Road shut down due to a rollover semi. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A shower this morning, otherwise clouds and cooler today. Breezy and a high 72. Cloudy, breezy night tonight, low 64. And then partly sunny, less humid tomorrow, the high 77. Clouds and sun Thursday with a high 82. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
74 right now. Your next news update comes your way at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan. and Amy. So Mamala has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the left's version of Larry the Cable Guy, to be her running mate because, of course, couldn't pick Shapiro. You had to protect your Death to America vote. The Democrats did. And so so you went with Tim Walz. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And that's also the text line, too, if you want to give us a call and weigh in with your opinion about the selection.
I'm ecstatic about this because I am calling them, Dan, ready? The Progressive Dream Team. Do you like it?
No, not really.
Oh, all right. Well, what do you want to call them? I mean, I'm glad she's
scintillating.
Well, neither of them have any business experience, and as we know, and we're going to see in the coming days, that he let Minnesota burn.
Well, Tim Walz is a teacher.
20-year teacher.
An all-teacher and a football coach, too. That's what I say. He's a regular Joe. He's, the paunchy 60-year-old honky from Minnesota who looks like he's 80. He's like central casting for a Coen Brothers movie. So it's all good. And he's homespun. He's got the colloquialisms like a recent appearance auditioning for Mamala on CNN talking about border security and Trump's border wall proposal.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this. You stop this using electronics. You stop it using more border control agents. And you stop it by having a legal system that allows for that tradition of allowing folks to come here, just like my relatives did, to come here, be able to work, and establish the American dream. He's not interested in that. He wants to demonize. Look, we produce most of the turkeys that you're going to eat in Thanksgiving. Those are immigrants working hard, establishing themselves here. What's he going to do? Is he going to take them all out?
Right. Are you going to cut off our supply of turkeys by securing the border? Do you want turkeys or do you want border security? You can't have both.
You need border security with a stroke of a pen.
This is what you're going to get. You're going to get homespun Bolshevikism from Tim Walz because that's who he has had to become, whatever he was when he ran for Congress. And you'll hear some of that and how he appealed to Republicans and so on and so forth because he's a commonsensical guy. But whatever he pretended to be back in the day when he first ran for Congress 20 years ago, he is not today because he can't be. You cannot be and be in that party. I got to tell you, I feel terrible for an Illinoisan who I thought had the inside track to be her running mate.
Oh, are you having a moment of silence?
Well, I feel terrible for Jim Edgar because I thought that he was going to be the surprise pick, and he's left at the altar again. Jim Edgar. So sorry for Governor Edgar that he was not selected.
Oh, I'm glad she did not pick Shapiro because he's more moderate, obviously, than Tim Walz. But I think it's easier. I think it's going to be an easier debate.
Obvious.
An easier debate with Tim Walz than it would be with Shapiro.
I don't think it's obvious. I don't think it's obvious that Shapiro is more moderate. Just because he supports the existence of the state of Israel doesn't make him a moderate. And if you actually looked at some of the positions Shapiro's taken, he believes a trans woman is a woman. He said so. Unequivocally, for example. So a man pretending to be a woman is a woman to Josh Shapiro, and that makes him a moderate? I don't think so. Sort of indicating he's open-minded to school choice before sticking it in the back of disadvantaged families in Pennsylvania and siding with the teachers' unions, that makes him a moderate? No, I don't think so. Tim Walz obviously will be a tool of the teachers' unions, the public sector unions as well, because that's what you have to do to be a new Bolshevik. And so that's where the ticket is. So this isn't about policy positions. This is about sort of Scranton Joeing the ticket a little bit. Get an old man.
Old white man.
Yeah, Kamala likes old honkies, even though they're the same age. He looks a lot older. And he's got some statements that'll be middling in his background when he was trying to present himself as a moderate when he first ran for Congress, as I said. And you'll be able to lean on that and lean on his folksy approach to policy talk, and hope that adds some sort of moderating imagery to the ticket. That's what they're doing.
Does it matter that he got a DUI back in 1995? He was a teacher in Alliance, Nebraska. That's where he's from. That's his home state. Does it matter?
I mean, do you think Mothers Against Drunk Driving is going to come out against him or something?
I don't know.
No.
I was just saying. Now, here's another question. Should the vice presidential candidates debate if the presidential candidates are not debating?
Well, I expect they'll debate independently, and they should, but I expect the presidential candidates will debate as well.
They have to. I mean.
So I just make sure if somebody knows her better than I do, please tell Jennifer Rubin she can drop in Tim Walz's name now. Why TK is the perfect VP for Kamala Harris? The Amazon Post accidentally releasing this draft column from Jennifer Rubin, the alleged in-house conservative at the Amazon Post. Right. She's a conservative like Jim Edgar is. TK, just I mentioned this earlier, is journalism lingo for to come. So why blank is the perfect VP choice for Kamala Harris? She has the column written. Now she drops in the name, whether it was Shapiro or Walls or somebody else. But I mean, how dare you suggest that these are not independent thinkers, these op-ed writers like Jennifer Rubin, talented independent thinkers that come to their own conclusions. They're not serving as house organs for whoever the Democrat Socialist Party gives them to flack for. No. How dare you think that? All right. So I know you're super excited about Tim Walz, but it doesn't sound like too many other people are.
Well, I mean, did they not vet him properly?
What do you mean?
Well, his daughter during the riots, and it was not peaceful protests, during the George Floyd riots, was tweeting out, letting protesters know, hey, Pops or Dad's not calling out the National Guard tonight, so you don't have to leave. Stay out there. And then another tweet was, it takes time when he does call in the National Guard, which he didn't for 48 hours, and he let Minneapolis burn. And he let those rioters take over the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis.
Well,
and then he let them tear down the Columbus statue that was 100 years old and did nothing.
Like Mamala flacking for her silly kids, the silly kids in Minneapolis during the Summer of Love in 2020. She supported the Minnesota Freedom Fund, just as Tim Walz effectively de facto did, because these are people with a righteous cause, and if some buildings have to be burned down, some police precincts and some people's businesses torn asunder, for someone to express their righteous outrage over the police-involved killing of George Floyd, then,
Well, and then a few months ago, he changed the Minnesota state flag so it would resemble the Somalian flag.
It's inclusive.
Well, he wants to make sure the Muslim migrants feel at home and welcome in Minnesota. They have the largest Somalian population.
It's a great partnership. Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Mamala. I mean, it's one big, inclusive, rainbow, QIA plus party and family.
Well, people that I know in Minnesota are refusing to fly that flag, and they're flying the original Minnesota flag. And people that I know that are in Minnesota said he became radicalized completely. They thought a moderate when they voted for him. He was a flim-flam man. But after George Floyd, he became completely progressive.
People in Minnesota, it's like saying people in Illinois. And, people I know in Illinois who were in YPO with J.B. Pritzker said he was actually an affable guy. And, yes, he was pretending to be a tech entrepreneur when he's just somebody born with a, silver shovel in his mouth and so forth. But, yeah, he wasn't bad. He wasn't really people in these places that are gone. What does that even mean? It means nothing.
Is Minnesota gone?
Isn't it?
No.
Minneapolis-St. Paul certainly is.
Right.
And as Minneapolis-St. Paul goes, so goes the state. Please see Chicagoland.
You mean St. Cloud's not doing it for him?
I don't think that's going to be enough. I hate to break it to folks.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollinsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Homeschooling is becoming much more common these days. Children graduate at a higher rate, and a vast majority of homeschooled children go on to graduate college. But where do you start? How do you homeschool your children? Visit homeschools.org for an amazing homeschool curriculum with Christian values. Christian Liberty Homeschools is a pioneer of the modern homeschool movement and has helped thousands of families get started and succeed. With a Christian Liberty homeschool curriculum, school is on your time. It's flexible, allowing you to vacation whenever you want and making the world your classroom. Watch how your child's confidence soars as you stay in control of the content of your child's education, backed by a great support network. If you're ready to escape from the public school system and homeschool your child in good faith, visit homeschools.org today. Christian Liberty Homeschools, where your child's future is in great hands. That's homeschools.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a bunch of text messages on this. Stand by. Progressive Dream Team, Dan and Amy, isn't enough. We like Communist Dream Team or Burn Down the City's Dream Team.
Yeah, that nicknaming needs some workshopping.
Fine.
That's pretty clunky. Good
Another
grief.
one, Dan and Amy. This pic actually surprised me. He's so far left, it's not even funny. He changed the state flag to appease some new immigrants, not people who lived in Minnesota for decades.
He's not the guy that wears the feather boa. That's a different Minnesota politician, right? Jesse the Body.
Oh, Jesse
obviously.
the Body Ventura. Well,
I mean, do you pay?
I know.
He
Okay.
joins
Well,
the
I
gr-
can't
he-
remember.
he
That was
joined-
so long ago.
He joins the great pantheon of Minnesota politicians running for national office, like Hubert Humphrey and Walter Mondale.
Dan, radical as this can be. Oh, I love it. This is great for us.
Yeah.
The Trump campaign needs to hammer the fact that Waltz refused the National Guard's help when Trump offered it.
Well, Walt served in the National Guard, so he's a military hero. Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
I feel ripped off and slighted.
Why?
Our governor in Wisconsin, pound for pound, is the Olympic gold medal winner for not calling out the National Guard. He didn't call them out for 4 days during the Jacob Blake riots.
Yeah, but I think the summer of 2020 was where you really had to demonstrate your commitment to lawlessness, and Tim Walz did, as did many others. I mean, our very own Governor Jelly Belly did as well. So stiff competition.
Stand down orders.
Stiff
from
competition.
Mayor
Chuck.
Lightfoot too.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah. So what are we going to do about that? I don't know. I think we should focus on this unity ticket. And it's nice to see the Democrats the Democrat Socialists, the new Bolsheviks, which is what they really are, coming together and burying the hatchets, as it were. There's been some hard feelings over the last several weeks, and I think this is nice. You have the ticket now fully formed. You've got an exciting convention in a great American city run by Democrats coming up in a couple of weeks.
No crime here.
You have Nancy Pelosi offering an olive branch to the hillbilly crime family and its head, the big guy.
In a good place to make whatever decision, top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
Journalists laughed.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
Oh, my God.
You don't have to take Lincoln or TR down. You just have to
Thanks, Nancy.
shoehorn Biden there on Mount Rushmore. It's great. It's a great
She's
idea.
out of her mind.
Maybe the first act of a Kamala presidency, if that were to happen.
Another text message. Dan and Amy, true colors are shining through. They're not even trying to hide their platform any longer. Campaign slogan, go woke or go broke.
No, I think this is striking just the right balance, the way that Mamala, she's really, we need a mom right now, our nation. We need a Mamala. We have one. She's striking the right balance, and so is Tim Walz. You got to strike the right balance between being tough and
as a woman, there's a balance to be struck between being tough and being a bitch.
There it is.
Turn that off.
Are those some deep thoughts?
Well, that was why she was at 28% approval. Like, people just found her grating and distasteful. That I think
she's not likable.
I think we need to remind people to not forget why they had a viscerally repellent reaction to her.
She couldn't even win a primary. If a primary was held today, she wouldn't win, but yet she's up for president of the United States.
Well, and remember, this is their commitment, and Tim Walz has signed on to this contract.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
That hyperventilating hyena routine that she does is very appealing. We need to bring this back. It's policy, but it's also personal and personality. And I think the Trump campaign needs to remind people, as I said, why they found her cacophonous cackling so off-putting. And frankly, it does not engender much confidence.
Right.
You know, the thing about Kamala is she's a dingbat, and people need to be reminded of that.
And you want 4 years of that? No. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll talk more about the presidential race and other matters, including Jamie Raskin's backup plan for the November 5th election. Dave Seminar joins us at 8:38.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again. Here is Mike Scott. Mike, I won the bet. Oh, we didn't bet anything, though.
No.
Darn it. That's my problem.
I don't have any money to give you anyway. Vice President Kamala Harris has reportedly picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. That's the word this morning from multiple sources speaking with a number of news outlets. The two are slated to appear later this evening in Philadelphia, if that is the choice. 5 deaths are being blamed on Debbie after the storm made landfall yesterday as a Category 1 hurricane, now moving slowly across Georgia as a tropical storm. Hezbollah forces launching a drone attack this morning on Israel. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Haifa.
This morning, there was yet another Iran-backed attack into this country, drones and rockets being fired. It comes as we continue to follow a major story out of the Middle East overnight, where an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in Iraq that was housing American forces. We do know multiple U.S. troops were injured. We are waiting updates on their conditions. The attack does mark the 219th time that U.S. forces were targeted in the Middle East since October. And the timing of this incident that occurred at the Al-Assad air base in western Iraq couldn't have come at a more tense time.
Iran has vowed retribution against Israel following the death of a Hamas terrorist leader. 9 staffers with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees are losing their jobs for involvement with the October 7 terror attack on Israel. The move was announced late yesterday, the UN launching an investigation after allegations that staffers were linked to the attack, which killed 1,200 and saw 250 taken hostage. There's a new statue of Jackie Robinson being dedicated in Wichita, Kansas today. Hundreds of people gathered to dedicate the new bronze statue portraying the first black player in Major League Baseball. The original statue was stolen and then destroyed earlier this year. The man convicted of that crime was sentenced to 15 years in prison last Friday. A 12-year-old boy is hospitalized following a shooting on Chicago's South Side. The victim inside of a home last night in the 4500 block of South Drexel when someone shot him before fleeing the scene. And police are investigating after 2 were shot Monday night in Evanston. The victims of that shooting are listed in stable condition this morning. Cubs lost to the Twins 3-0. White Sox matching the 1988 Orioles for the longest losing streak in AL history, now 21 straight after a 5-1 loss to the A's. The news a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk believes the rot runs deep.
As we marched through these institutions for many years, I soon realized, one after the other, the rot that our institutions have been experiencing. The infection that is present, the tumor within the once great institutions in Washington, D.C.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfood juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy at an hour 10. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Traveling on the Ike, stop and go all the way in from 390 into the old post office. On the Stevenson, there's an exit ramp closed due to an accident. It's the inbound off-ramp to LaGrange Road. There is a rollover semi there. Delays on the Dan Ryan. Express lanes are jammed inbound 51st to the Chinatown feeder. Bishop Ford inbound. An accident approaching 115. Traffic, a service of Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends. Discover's got you covered on the last one with cash back. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We'll see a passing shower this morning. Otherwise, cloudy, breezy, and cooler, a high of 72. Cloudy and 70 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Stephen Van Zandt impersonator, Congressman Jamie Raskin. I had something interesting to say recently about his backup plan. In the event that Trump won the November 5th election.
They're not going to accept the results of an election, Dan? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment because he instigated an insurrection. So you can go ahead and go through the motions. But Jamie Raskin is the backstop.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
Yeah, so there
that's
you
the
go.
plan, huh?
That's Jamie Raskin's plan, at least rhetorically. Civil War conditions and the demagoguing of the court and the demagoguing of the, don't even bother because we're going to make sure that he never takes office, even if he wins on November 5th. I mean, this is all the sorts of Russian collusion bloviations that you've heard from really bottom feeders like Jamie Raskin for the last 8 years. So why should it stop? It won't. It's not going to. Dave Seminara is a former diplomat. He's also the author of Footsteps of Federer and Mad Travelers, A Tale of Wanderlust, Greed, and the Quest to Reach the Ends of the Earth. Dave, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Nice to hear from you guys.
I'm surprised you're not at the Olympics, being the globetrotter that you are, and
I do not like France. I've been to France twice. I love the Olympics, though. I'm watching an unhealthy amount of Olympics. I'm watching badminton, table tennis, you name it, surfing, sports that I would never, ever, ever watch. During these 2 weeks, I watched them and loving it.
Have you ever taken a dip in the Seine?
No, I would never do something like that.
No.
Have you?
No, I have not. No. I have not been to Gay Paris, but it's on the list.
But
now, I got to tell you, though, I'm very irritated by Google because Google is prioritizing the medal count just in terms of gold medals. And China is, we're back and forth with China on that. And rather than prioritizing, who's up top of total number of medals, Google prioritizes it only like in terms of who's got more gold medals, which is really irritating. I think it's a conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. It always is. I love that you're loving the Olympics. I have 4 different screens going on at our house. Break dancing is this Friday and Saturday. And I don't know if you know this. Dan Proft, the man sitting across from me, was a break dancer back in the day.
Yeah.
No way.
No,
yeah,
he was.
Bit.
He could walk around with cardboard, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I missed my Olympic moment, Dave, so it's not going to happen for me. But I'm just glad that I could, basically inspire future generations of breakdancers to have this moment now that they're going to have in Paris.
Well, I assume that Americans are good at breakdancing, so I'm all for adding obscure quote unquote sports as long as Americans are good at them. That's fine. Bring it in if we get gold.
I can't wait for pickleball to be an Olympic sport because
pickleball will be an Olympic sport.
Yeah,
I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Baseball isn't, but baseball is coming back for LA.
Oh, it is? What about? Did you watch that speed rock climbing event?
My wife was.
I was
watching
addicted
that.
to it.
I got to draw the line. I'm not watching the rock climbing. I didn't do that.
Rock
I didn't even know it was an event or a category. Yes.
Unless it's a free climb where it's death defying, I'm not really interested. All right, Dave. Speaking of medals, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, got the silver. He is going to be Kamala's running mate. Your reaction to this prodigious Bolshevik ticket?
I check Polymarket, which is the betting markets, probably like 8 times a day lately, just obsessively checking, first of all, what are gamblers betting on in terms of who's going to be the vice president, and also how are gamblers betting on the Trump, Kamala race. Yesterday, it was Kamala had a 43 or 44% chance. I just checked it a few minutes ago, and she's up to 46%. So that tells me someone is excited about this pick. There are some gamblers, a few additional people betting on her since yesterday. 46% chance. I mean, it's too high. It's scary. It's frightening. I think I think that a lot of people are saying, she made a horrible choice, the smart choice for Shapiro. I'm not so sure about that. I fear that she may have tactically made a really smart choice because she's energized her base. Her base absolutely loves this guy. He's a lefty, but it doesn't matter because the media will repackage him as a centrist, right, as a moderate.
Just like they're doing for her.
Same thing. Yeah. He'll do exactly. So, he'll just, disavow all of the positions he's held his entire life in the same way that she has, and the media will repackage him as a centrist and will highlight the fact that he's a veteran. He's won in a previously, first congressional district, which is Republican. It's rural. She's behind by, if you look at white working class voters, last time I checked in the breakdown, she was down 36 or 38 points among the white working class. So that is the demographic category that she needs the most. And I think people were hedging that, well, Shapiro probably won't help her with that category because he grew up with money, father's a doctor, et cetera, et cetera. So, I fear she probably made a tactically smart choice.
Well, and also too for this, the idea that it's clear she couldn't pick the Jewish governor because of the anti-Semitic. I'd say strain, but it's larger than strain within her party, and the need to win Michigan and so forth. But you're going to have
the reason why she picked him is if you look at the three states there, and Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. All three of those states, unfortunately, have more registered Democrats than Republicans. So I think what they're realizing is that all they really need to do is, and even in giving Kamala the nomination, right? They weren't going for someone center, towards the center. They were going left. I think what they have to do is just completely fire up their base. I don't think they're even thinking about, peeling off any moderate Republicans, any Nikki Haley type people. I think they're just trying to fire up their base, and if they realize they do have an edge in those three states in voter registration, they're just leaning into their base, basically in the same way Republicans leaned into their base by nominating Trump and then Trump picking Vance. They weren't exactly throwing an olive branch to centrists either, were they?
Yeah, I mean, a base plus election, which is, and the enthusiasm behind it are important. But I mean, but you can't. I want to say you can't overlook the fact that the Democrat Socialist Party is more than tacitly supportive of anti-Semitism, but the problem is that you're going to have Josh Shapiro come out, and Dean Phillips and others will come out, and they'll endorse the ticket, and they'll say behind the ticket 100%, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And that provides the cover / basis for rationalization for so many Jewish voters who are otherwise inclined to vote Democrat to stick with the party, even though it's obvious what the party thinks of their interests in the Middle East and in general on college campuses, et cetera.
Every 4 years we hear, Republicans are going to get the Jewish vote this year, and it never happens. I mean, it's 70%. Republicans get 30% of the Jewish vote every 4 years, almost seemingly no matter what happens. So I don't know this year if that will change. What do you think?
I mean, personally, don't we all know somebody who's Jewish who's now a Republican?
That's the
I do,
and that's the
but I don't
definition
know
of
if that's-
anecdotes are not the plural of anecdote is not data. I mean,
but it's so clear that the reason why she didn't pick Shapiro. She wanted to win Michigan. They wouldn't vote for if there was a Jewish person on the ticket.
Yeah, I think for the most part, there is so much scar tissue built up around Trump with constituencies that are inclined to lean Dem that I think there's much more of a chance. This is my view. Much more of a chance that you see him overperform among Black Americans, particularly because of support from Black men, younger Black men that are breaking from the Democrat Party because it's just not serving their interests, particularly in urban centers. I think there's much more of a chance he overperforms there than he overperforms the Jewish voters.
Well, you know what I want Donald Trump to do? I just wrote a column about, but it hasn't been published yet, so I'll preview it for you folks.
Okay.
The one thing that's really bothering me that he's ignoring right now tactically, so first of all, he's getting crushed with female voters, right? Mm-hmm. I think he needs to take a page out of DeSantis's playbook. Not that he'd like to emulate DeSantis, but you know what DeSantis really emphasized well here, and he won the women's vote, was school choice. Donald Trump made a 92-minute convention speech, and I went through the text of it. He did not mention Republican support for school choice once. In an hour and a half, you can't fit that in even once. And in his standard stump speech these days, he's not even mentioning it. So the Republicans Democrats are about choice, pro-choice. We need to start talking about school choice and support for school choice. And even though the president can't do that much for that because it's more of a state issue, you have to talk about how our party supports this. But their party will not support it because of its adherence, its loyalty to the teachers' unions. And what's driving me nuts that there's winning issues like that we're not even bringing up. And I for the life of me, I can't figure out why not.
Well,
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, and do you think once Kamala Harris speaks to the media, I mean, she's been the nominee for, essentially 15 days now and has not taken one question
right.
from
and
any
she
media
will not
media
have to.
outlet,
I
not
mean,
even MSNBC.
That's what concerns me is she only has to run out the clock for like 100 days. I mean, it's sort of like a perfect storm of different things that could happen here. And she's got an opportunity to win the race, which, I mean, if you told me this a few months ago, Kamala Harris is president, it seemed crazy. Like the idea of it seems so far-fetched. And the idea of Biden stepping down a few months ago seemed so far-fetched because they didn't have someone who could step forward. Now, all of a sudden, she's stepped forward. She's disavowed all of her previous liberal positions. The media is giving her a huge pass, and the election's just a couple months away. She might not give a single interview. She might not give an interview. Why would you give an interview? She keeps inching up in the polls, right? I mean, it's the same reason why didn't Trump do any of the Republican debates, the primary debates? Well, because he didn't need to, and he kept saying that he kept going well in the polls. So if something is working, you don't change it, right? So why would she grant an interview to anybody at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the default position, but I don't think she's in the Dean Smith position really of being able to four-corner it for the next 90 days. There's going to be moments where she's compelled, including on a debate stage. I mean, the idea that she doesn't debate Trump because they're in fights over which network is the host. I just don't think she can sell that, and neither could he if he was the one ducking debates. So she can't quite run out the clock, but I agree with you that that's their disposition, is to minimize the risk to her as much as possible, and the risk is always putting her in any situation that's unscripted.
You can get through one debate, though. I mean, and I don't think she'll do such an awful job in the debate that her numbers will tank, because she's going to repeat her stock lines, her memorized lines about how dare you and stuff like that. The Democrats love that stuff. They'll lap it up, and the media will say she won the debate. And let's face it, lately, Trump, in the last few debates that I've seen him in, he hasn't exactly impressed me. I mean, in the last one, he only did great because he was standing next to Biden, who was a complete joke. But he's a little unfocused himself. So I'm not feeling as confident right now and as comfortable as I would like to feel.
The only thing I would say is we're going to see how good of a Kamala chameleon she really is, because it's tough to completely hide your true essence, your true personality for that long under that much scrutiny. So that's what I would.
I hope you're right, and I appreciate your optimism. But are you feeling as confident as you would like to feel right now?
No, I've been waking up at 1:30 in the morning ever since they put her in that position.
I'm not in the cold
I'm
sweats
afraid that
phase
she's
yet,
lying and saying, I'm for fracking now. But then once she gets into office, boom, her whole climate agenda is going to be fulfilled.
It's in some ways a referendum on the media's ability, isn't it, to rehabilitate her?
Yes.
If the media is able to, the media was able to topple Joe Biden, weren't they? That was very interesting. I mean, they instigated that coup. I wasn't sure if they were powerful enough to be able to topple him in that way, and they were. And now they're feeling really emboldened that, okay, now we've knocked him off the perch. We've got her up there. Can we carry her across the line? And, we'll see whether they are able to do that.
Well, right. I mean, it's basically it's going to be a question. It's going to answer the question: the percentage of Americans that are sophisticated barbarians, is it 48% or 50% plus one? That's what we're going to find out. Where exactly are we at? Dave Seminar.
The media plus big tech. Also, Google's doing its part too.
Well, exactly.
At least we have Elon Musk on our side.
Dave Seminar, a former diplomat, author of Footsteps of Federer and Mad Travelers, A Tale of Wanderlust Greed and the Quest to Reach the Ends of the Earth. Dave, thank you as always.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
3 reasons I ditched my old school deodorant and made the switch to Lumi Whole Body Deodorant for pits, privates, and beyond. First, Lumi is crazy effective. It controls odor in a new way and keeps me fresher longer. Second, it's a whole body deodorant that works on every nook and cranny. The ones we all have. My pits and even feet. Use it anywhere. Third, Lumi was created by an OBGYN. I don't know about you, but knowing Lumi was formulated by an OBGYN who knows all about safety below the belt is super reassuring. Experience a new way to control odor longer that works everywhere. There's a special offer for listeners. Go to LumiDeodorant.com and use code SUPER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SUPER. Like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code SUPER. SUPER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SUPER to save 15% today.
Got a lot of text messages. Dan and Amy, do you really think Kamalia, the chameleon, lost any sleep and was allowed to choose her running mate? Not a chance. Just like she was appointed, so has her VP running mate. Just another Bolshevik wheel, cog on the Bolshevik wheel. What do you think? I mean, Pelosi and Bernie Sanders wanted her to pick Walz. And look what happened.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Pain from arthritis. It's just awful. If you have it, you know what I'm talking about. Bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And we're not talking drugs or surgery or cortisone shots. They're exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is to see our good friends over there at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Listen up. So if you're living with that chronic pain from arthritis or an injury in your knees, your hips, your back, your elbows, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat that pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Here's what you do. Call this number to schedule a free consultation. They will walk you through the process, explain how it works, and they have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is Carol Platt-Levow for townhall.com. Thomas Jefferson understood that for a self-governing people to make the best decisions for themselves and their country, they had to have access to the facts. A properly functioning democracy depends on an informed electorate, he wrote. President Jefferson would be appalled at what's happening today. Google is the world's most popular search engine with 92% of market share. Its autocomplete feature hides suggested results referencing the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Users, including Elon Musk, pointed out that Google was auto-completing searches for President Donald with President Donald Duck. Others have noted that searching for Donald Trump yields favorable articles about Kamala Harris, but searching for Harris produces nothing on Trump. A Google spokesman claims it's, quote, working on improvements, unquote. Let's hope so, because what's happening now is dishonest. It's election interference that hurts our democracy, and it needs to stop.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
Make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560.
The Answer.
We had about a year worth of news in 30 days.
It's been eventful, yeah. Yeah, it's been eventful. And more eventfulness yet to come.
Yep. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick and Keith Conrad, who